Trek. Oh yeah, it's a seal bet. Orville is a real McCoy, even though it's full of soy. I hate woke, but love me some Bortis, coming out of shell like a tortoise. I am into Klingons, like weird foreign kids and ping pong, but no way when they want to suck dang dong. But hey, Bortis is okay. Bortis is proudly gay. It ain't woke if he wants to take a little poke. All hands in deck. Hey, aye, sir, this is real Trek. Gonna take a piss for 2 hours, giving my mailmate a golden shower. Thank you so much, Seth. I thought Trek had met an untimely death, but hey, Bortis is okay. Bortis is okay. Bortis is proudly gay. It ain't woke if he wants to take a little poke. All hands in deck. Yeah, sir, this is real Trek. Take a little poke, all hands in deck. Yeah, sir, this is real Trek.
Welcome to the USS Kobayashi Maru. I am your captain, Tim. And this is Off the Treks. Thanks for being here, guys. It's going to be a fun show. We have a lot to talk about, and we're going to get to it. First, let's see whom we have with us tonight. It doesn't look like the API that I just set up for Rumble, specifically to this channel, is working. Don't know what the hell is going on with that. I think there's like a delay when you set that up. I think it takes like a day or so until it actually kicks in, because I've done this before and it doesn't work. And then the next time we have a show, it does work. Showing up first, we've got King Chris, super member on the YouTube side, saying howdy, spacers. King Chris always holding it down. He's also on the Rumble side. I see him on my other screen. Thanks for being here, King Chris. We got Mike C. finally updating his name in the house. Yeah, you're welcome, man. It's really weird. I know why they're doing it, but everyone's got to remember that we may not recognize you. I think I recognized the avatar the other day and just kind of the tone, right, of some of your comments, some of your chats. Now that you're thinking about those AI slope videos Chef is reacting to, reminds me of that Trek fan film that the Hour-siders also love. Yeah, Unification. We talked about that December before last. Greg and I did, and we kind of exposed people for saying this is good, and we broke down that fan film. So thanks for reminding me of that. Double A's in the house. Thanks for being here. Steezo for life. Super member in the house tonight. Blue-Eyed Scorpio's here, banned on every platform imaginable. I bet Commander Riker was plowing all the extras back in the day. Yeah, absolutely. And you know, there's a picture out there. There's video out there, obviously, because it's from an episode. But Patricia Tallman, who was one of the main characters in Babylon 5, was playing, looked like possibly like a security officer in one of the episodes. And I think she might have been an extra in a few more episodes as well, but he's kind of like telling a story or whatever, because he was kind of like, you know, the man of the people of the crew in his role as Riker. But she's right there listening to whatever he's bullshitting on about. He probably hit that too, more than likely. OG Star Wars top tier member of the channel. And a gatekeeper. I don't have the clip. I need the clip in the house. Don't eat out the pot and don't eat pot. Gabriel Knight, super member in the house on the YouTube side. Let's manually check Rumble. All right, we've got Tehelim 29. We got SWA 223, fantastic supporter over there. We got Gummy. King Chris is also there. Gabriel Knight's there. Awesome stuff. Share the link out there, guys. And from SWA, we've got a gifted membership to Starbased. We need to grow this channel on Rumble, especially Star Trek is honestly in worse shape than what is branded as Star Wars. Believe it or not, it's in worse shape. So we've got to start talking more about Star Trek. So make sure you're telling friends to follow Starbased. We need to do this stream more often. It's hard to find the time. But thank you, SWA, for the gifted subscription on the Rumble side. And again, a subscription on Rumble is a membership on YouTube. That's the equivalent. All right, let's see. Let's see what we got here. We got the ghost fucker.
He knew exactly how I liked to be touched. It was the most physical dream I've ever had.
Beverly Crusher loves the undead. Thank you so much, SWA, for the gifted subscription on the Rumble side. Yeah, thank you very much. That takes you to all the channels. Doesn't cost you anything for a follow. And tell friends the same thing, guys. All right, let me check Kick really quick. Looks like we got a bot over there. I need to get some mods on Kick. Haven't really figured that out yet, but it's something we need to do. We need to get on every platform we can, guys. I need to go back to Odyssey too. Just get our stuff out there, right? It's what we need to do. Oh yeah, she was a gorgeous woman, big time. Would not want to meet the real person, Gates McFadden. They're all just garbage people in 2025. Every single last one of them. It's unreal. All right, let's go ahead. And by the way, I have sent the link out to potential guests. So hoping to see them sooner than later because it is Sunday night. A lot of us do have work tomorrow. So we want to start talking about this stuff and knocking it out, right? So let's go ahead and get into what we're going to get into. All right. The evolution of our cider opinions let me talk about this for a minute, guys. And by the way, before I get into that, I just want to apologize. Went back and I listened to the spacing from Thursday night, and I heard a little bit of this. Doesn't sound like anything to me, but when you're listening on the stream, it sounds like a bass boom. And kind of reminds me of Rush Limbaugh back in the day when he would get excited. He's doing all that kind of stuff. Well, I was doing the same thing Thursday night. I'm talking about stuff and I'm leaning on the desk and I'm hitting it. I moved the mic off the boom, off the homemade boom I had made, back to right in front of me here. I made a little rig so it's right in front of me. I think the sound is better, but you got to be careful because of the potential interference and sounds that you don't want to send, right? So sorry about that the other night. We'll make every effort to make sure that doesn't happen again. And something else that's weird, I'm wearing a headphones, because my aftershocks died after almost 4 years. Something came loose and they were rattling and couldn't hear anything. Well, luckily we bought these Skull Candy headphones and we intended to use them for the big screen downstairs. Bluetooth is shit. I could barely ever get them to connect to the television. So I took them up here, and it's like I got to have something when I'm editing video and screen recording and shit like that. So I've been using them. They sound pretty good, but I don't like headphones. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to find some kind of non-earbud headphones, headset, whatever. I don't want to go the bone induction route again. I don't think they sound very good. I'm thinking about some over-the-ear headphones, some cheap-ass ones. Doesn't really matter as long as I can hear what guests are saying and whether or not I can hear clips. I can use something like this for when I'm editing video and making sure it sounds good and stuff. But I don't like to wear these on stream. They get hot. They're distracting. And it's just kind of weird. So I have this stuff on. So new equipment, again, apologize for the microphone boom sounds. So the evolution of Arsider opinions. This is going to be controversial, guys, because it's nothing new. This channel, I'm going to say since this time in 2021, maybe a little bit earlier, we started seeing a pattern where people on our side would have inconsistent takes. And it's like, look, I'm not going to support someone. I'm not going to praise someone just because they happen to be people we stream with or they know people we stream with, shit like that. And it's going to piss some people off. It has pissed people off, but it's the truth. So we've got some videos here from almost 8 years ago versus just this past week. And we're going to look at those and see what the difference is. So just prepare yourselves for that. There's no drama intended here. No more than there is drama intended when we're going after full-blown chills, right? We're here to expose inconsistent takes and to reveal the truth. That's what we're all about here. Later on in this stream, we'll get into real Klingons, and I'll show you some of that because this is a real fan channel, right? It's not just, we go out there and we talk shit and we criticize people. This is a real fan channel. So we're going to talk about some real Klingons. Trekkies in 1974 in Shatner. There's a story that came out. Pretty interesting stuff. Let's take a look at that. And then Walter Koenig on William Shatner. There's some interesting stuff that came out just in the last couple of days. I want to take a look at that. So lots of Star Trek topics, but we can only talk about certain things because we'll run out of time. And again, it is a Sunday night, right? Bane of the Shills in the house on the Rumble side. I'm looking over here. Real fans. Yeah, real fans and real fan channels. That's what it's all about. You didn't hear anything. What do you mean you didn't hear anything? You mean this? That's not coming off as like a boom. What about this? Because I recorded myself today on my editing software and I kind of tapped the desk and it definitely came across as like a boom or whatever. Yeah, there's so many of them. Mike says the thing with Oursiders is this. They are centrist libertarians that only care about maintaining the status quo. That makes them our enemies. And here's the thing. I agree with the latter two parts, but I don't even think they know what centrist libertarian means. I don't even think they know what libertarian means. But I do think there's a lot of selfishness there. I think that they want what they want. And I think that the success of their channels is what's most important to them. And it's like, hey, do I blame you for wanting success? No. But how you get it, I think, is pretty important. And I hear it now, but not on the spacing. Well, if you go back, you're probably hearing it now because I said something. Bottom line, it's not the quality of stream I want to put out there, but I do like this setup a lot more. I have more visibility and stuff like that. But here's the thing. You could say, oh, you're just doing this for clout. You're only talking shit and exposing all this stuff for clout. Let's get this shit off the screen here. But that's not the case, because think about it this way, guys. If I were doing something for clout, then I wouldn't try to expose this stuff, right? I would push the company line. I would make the parrot videos. We saw a lot of that shit as far back as 2020. Someone comes out with a video and then, within 3 hours, here come other people that take the guy who actually pioneered whatever the topic was. And I'm not even saying that topic was necessarily a good topic, but it was a topic nonetheless. And they would just parrot that and parrot that and parrot that. And I'm talking channels, that could have 50,000 subs. I'm talking about some that could have 3,000 subs. You just see all the parrots swarming all over this stuff. And some of them have seen some success. You've seen some of them get invited onto some bigger shows, and maybe legitimately get 10, 15, 20,000 subs. Great. Good for you. I'm so happy for you. You got an invitation onto WDW Con's stupid faux show. Good for you. But you know how you got it. Try disagreeing with these guys, and more than that, try and correctly call them frauds. You're not going to get invited onto anything. And that's fine. That's totally fine with me. So just, brace yourself for some of this stuff, because in my opinion, it's eminently more interesting and relevant to talk about the Oursiders than it is to talk about the typical shills. Now, it may be more fun or as fun, and we do that a lot. In fact, there's some Star Trek shills that especially Greg is aware of that we should start going after. But it's the hypocrisy. It's just rank hypocrisy, and I think it needs to get exposed, and that's why I've been doing it for a really long time now. Yeah, I mean, no different. Like, the end result is no different, which means we're not changing the culture. There is no culture war. So yeah, the result, no different, but the approach is riling up a different base. Obama voter. Is he really? I had no idea, but I'm not really shocked. I mean, someone who, makes a career, makes a channel out of reviewing a children's theme park as an adult. Not really surprised they're an Obama voter. I'm just not. Blue-eyed Scorpio, you know what? When I was trying to figure out a way to contact you, I noticed some of your numbers and doing pretty damn good on your channel. In my reviews, I've noticed my dislikes have increased because I have turned on the shows I was reviewing. Not even as harsh as I want to be, but I can't fake it and say I still like it. Yeah, well, just make sure you don't turn on the shows that have been declared good and ones we should support on our side, kind of like Picard season 3, right? Dan Blackroyd, aka Liquid Blake, says we won because we got rich from it. That's the mentality that added them all into the circle dance to try and appease that algorithm. Yeah, that's a good point. It's like how Mahler and Critical Drinker praise God of War Ragnarok until the Sweet Baby Ink stuff came out. Yeah, and everyone was all over that Sweet Baby algorithm. And I don't even play games, but I was noticing that shit. I was telling someone today, I was just on the phone sitting right here where I am about, I don't know, 2 hours ago, telling a good friend that because he was watching what's the post-apocalyptic game that's made into a show. I told him, hey, I don't even play games, so I'm not watching the show. But I haven't played games really like in maybe 20 years. I think watching my son play KOTOR and KOTOR 2, because I just wanted the story. And at the time, he's only like 6 or 7 years old, but he was pretty damn good at video games. I would watch him play those because I wanted the story. And it was pretty freaking cool, but I just hated holding the controller and playing. It's just not my thing. Like I told you guys, my wife and I on New Year's Eve, we played Mario games all night because I went ahead and signed up for whatever the hell their service is where there's a shitload of like NES games, and we started playing the original, and I probably got to World 7, and I don't think I could get past the castle, but there was a lot of drinking involved, so it is what it is. Crushing Landman. Yeah, I was telling my friend earlier, like, I don't really like those Taylor Sheridan shows or all these shows that have been out for like a good 20 years now, like Breaking Bad. Oh, yeah, great story, but all the characters are gray. And I don't know, like, you guys know what I like. I like Star Wars. I like Star Trek. I like shows that have a defined good guy and bad guy. You're simplistic, Tim. No, it's what I like. Those stories don't have to be simplistic. Everyone doesn't have to be a piece of shit, like a shade of gray piece of shit to be a good story. Yeah, we know. We know. Yeah, Fallout is the name of that show that he was about to start watching when we were talking. And I don't think he's played the game either. But in any event, that's kind of what we're going to talk about. I wish I could highlight this, but we got Steezo for life, $10 Rumble rant, and he's not using like 900 words. Be more like Steezo, right? They got to fix that on the Rumble side. Your Rumble rants should be in proportion to how much you're paying. Like, $2, here's like 8 paragraphs. Fuck you. He says, Tim, for the new people, can you define the difference between a Trekkie and a Trekker? I don't know the difference. I don't know. Like, I don't say either or, like, just a Star Trek fan. Like, you see my shirt here, the Ractigino coffee in the style of Starbucks, right? I couldn't find this shirt. It was like buried in my stack of shirts. I don't hang my shirts because it'll stretch the neck out. I have this old school 1950s. It's called a butler. It's like a wooden structure that you put the clothes you're going to wear the next day on, and I just stack everything on there. So I have all my nerd shirts stacked on there so they stay nice and unwrinkled, and then the necks don't stretch out. But I think what you're getting at is Trekkie is kind of like, the stereotypical, hey, look at this dork, like in the skit on SNL with Shatner. What was it, the late 80s, early 90s? John Lovitz. And he's like, hey, I have a question. And then a Trekker is, more of a based, everyday member of society, not a weirdo that's a fan of the franchise. I think that's kind of what you're getting at. Steezo with another $10. Again, I wish I could highlight these. I could always do this. I could take my screenshotter. I got the damn thing set to do the whole screen. Whenever I make my thumbnails, let's go to rectangle, then go like this. Yeah, Windows 11 is a trip, man. I could always do this. I could go pa-pa, pa-pow, pa-pa-pow. Go like that, and then I got to zoom in on it. From what I was told, the difference between a Trekkie, but a techie, it's interesting. You should bring that up. I'll tell you something in a minute. And a Trekker is a Trekker wears a Starfleet uniform to a con, and a Trekkie wears a Starfleet uniform every day. That's actually good. I remember when I first moved to where I live now, it was like a month later, Insurrection was coming out in theaters, and I'm like, okay, the story sounds okay. I heard that the enemies are supposed to be members of the Dominion. Maybe they'll tie that stuff in. And then I got there at the theater. My father went with me, and then you saw the guys, right? They got some black slacks on, and then they've got their TNG tunic on, and it's too small, so their fat, hairy belly is hanging out the bottom. Probably haven't taken a bath in about 3 weeks. They need to shave, all that kind of stuff. So those people were in line. And then there was this table set up with some local fan club or whatever. Got in there. It's like, hey, this is a rehash of a TNG episode. I hated this movie. And it was pretty much par for the course for TNG movies that night. But that's a pretty good joke, though. That's I like that. I'm going to use that. Thanks for the $10. We got to play a couple of things. That's a total of $20 from Steezo for Life, helping us keep the lights on.
Well, the truth is usually just an excuse for lack of imagination.
Are you prepared for the kind of death you've earned, little man?
Awesome stuff. Thank you so much. Steezo for Life. And then we got another gifted membership from SWA223. Looks like Greg Hates Everything got that membership on the Rumble side. We need to grow Rumble, guys. We got to grow Rumble. Thanks again to amazing supporter SWA223. And I'm never going to do this to him.
I have had enough of you!
Great movie, great scene, great two actors, William Shatner and Christopher Lloyd. I mean, come on, guys. It's great stuff. All right, I think we're caught up on that stuff. Let me check over here. Only thing I know about Star Trek, it was a pop culture phenomenon. Not into it. I don't know. I don't think it was necessarily, but you know what? That's probably a good question for this guy.
We don't serve their kind here.
And we have with us the Grand High Priest, Holy Order of Hate, Greg.
Hello.
Hey, what's going on? So answer that question. Was Star Trek a pop culture phenomenon or not? I don't
No.
think it was.
the show got canceled after 2 seasons. I wouldn't call that a pop culture phenomenon. I think it was, and I guess you have to. I would say it was more of a phenomenon probably in the late 80s and 90s when you had like basically 3 shows going on. That was probably its heyday, and some moderately successful movies. Like people, you just need to look at the box office. Like even the best Star Trek movies weren't like $1 billion titles. Well, I mean, nothing was a $1 billion title back in the 80s, but like these movies were not money printers, right? The first one, Star Trek, the motion picture, probably lost money. Theatrically, I'm over time, I'm sure it's recouped it and then some, but I think it was used as a caricature of nerd culture. It was like Star Trek was the kind of the go-to example of nerds. We were like that fan base was like the face of nerd culture back when nerd culture was definitely derogatory. It was not cool to go to cons. It was not cool to be into nerdy stuff. And I think Star Trek specifically got a lot of it because Star Wars was financially a massive hit. It was a hit with toys and everything like that. It was harder to kind of go after Star Wars at the time because it was a juggernaut. And so if you wanted to kind of like dismiss the science fiction genre itself, Star Trek was kind of the one. And then by extension, like the culture around Star Trek was treated derogatory. It was not a cool thing to be a Trekkie or a Trekker.
Well, and like I said, if you look at some of the people at the cons and all that stuff, then I can really imagine why. Because
yeah, certainly there was some of the derogatory things were earned. Like there was like I went to several Star Trek conventions. It was a little bit of a freak show.
Well, any of those, even in 2025, I went to a con recently, right? You know that.
Mm-hmm.
And oh man, unfortunately, I had to stand outside for 45 minutes to get in. I don't know what the hell was going on this year, but it took that long to get in. Fortunately, it was only about 25 degrees outside, so the smells weren't as bad. But once you get in there, it's like here's what I do. I get in there and I get done what I want to get done and I get the hell out. I saw who I wanted to see. I did the whole selfie thing, the autograph thing. I bought that Flash shirt and I'm like, all right, I'm done. I don't want to look at any other shit. I don't want to smell any other smells. This one back issue comic guy was not there this year. And I'm like, I'm done. There's nothing else I want to see here. So the whole, not including the wait, was probably 20 minutes. Like, I'm out of here. There's nothing else for me. Oh, I'm going to walk around. And I saw cringe weirdos asking girls, they probably don't even know who the anime character is. Hey, may I have your permission to take a picture of you in your costume? Yeah, okay, go ahead. Like, click.
Consent is like the big thing with the pictures and all that shit. Because
the guy was probably trying to earn brownie points, right, by asking or some shit.
Cosplay culture is repugnant to me. I hate everything about it.
I'm with you.
And I, like, again, my history, like, I went to Star Trek conventions long time ago, early 90s and shit. And earlier even. But, like, so, like, a Star Trek conventions were basically like you had one speaker, one star that would do the convention, and that like was
a keynote or whatever. Yeah,
they were good. They were the key attraction to get people to go there, and then the rest of the convention was basically a bunch of flea market salesmen selling trinkety shit. Like it was like card table rummage sale shit, like bootleg, like softcore porn VHS tapes of Marina Sirtis, kind of like
yeah.
Like that was the stuff you could buy at a convention.
So get this. The one I went to, and I think 2 years before, same location and same company, these Trek guys were out in the main lobby. It was like the hallway. And they had, I don't know, probably 4 folding tables set up with a bunch of Trek shit, right? And some of it, most of it I have, like a lot of the late 70s, early 80s reference manuals, but none of it's for sale. Okay, cool. They're pieces of history. Let's look at them. But they have a sign, no touching. It's like, what do you do? Look at the cover of the book? Okay, great. I can look at that like online or whatever. What's the point
Yeah,
of your 4
stuff
tables
like
in your
that.
booth? You stupid
Yeah.
dorks. So yeah,
Yeah,
I,
and
I
these tables,
this year I just
they-
walked by and I rolled my eyes at all of them, and they saw me
They
too.
were filled with like there's a lot of old comic books, old like magazines about Star Trek, all sorts of some of it was some obscure and weird stuff, but it was basically just a lot of really overpriced trash. And then of course you could
Yep.
buy glossy photos to then bring up to the keynote person to have them, autograph when they get done doing their little speech that they gave the same speech to the last 8 conventions they were at. I mean, and it's a cynical approach. I enjoyed them. I had fun at them, but I was there to see the keynote speaker, and that was it. I didn't really shop around and buy much shit. One, I just didn't have any desire to collect a lot of that crap. But these things were small to the point where okay, they would come to Green Bay, Wisconsin. All right. And other than the NFL team, we're fucking Timbuktu. We're fucking nobody. We're small. We are not a metropolis or a metropolitan area by any stretch.
No, you're not.
And they would they would come here and it would be like, where's the Star Trek convention going to be? Well, it's going to be in these rooms at the Best Western. And so they would basically rent your typical your hotels and shit. They'll have your conference centers where they'll host like had wedding receptions or business conferences and things like that. But not and they'd rent a couple of the rooms and then have the hallway also have a bunch of tables in it. And that would be the convention. I mean, you're talking about stuff that your mid-level corporation rents out to do training seminars, that kind of thing. These are not big productions, at least back then. I mean, now they're much more marketed and
right. Well,
different than what they used to be.
And about Green Bay, let's talk about Green Bay. What's interesting?
You rip on my town now.
No, it's Green Bay and Oakland, right? Golly, 55 minutes from where I grew up, because went to a lot of A's games, never went to a Raiders game. My father wouldn't let me, but it's those
Probably
two
a good call.
cities. Those two cities, Oakland's not a small city by any means, but for California it is, right? So
Yeah.
how did those two towns get NFL teams? Green Bay, Wisconsin, and Oakland, California. Every other one's in a major metropolitan area. And yeah, Oakland is, but there's San Francisco already there. They already have.
Well, I mean, it pays to be
49ers.
a founding a founding member of the organization that you're a part of. So
Well, yeah, but
and the
that's
Green Bay
my whole
Packers.
point.
I mean, and back when sports leagues were kind of like the wrestling circuits, right? They were, they're regional and shit like that. So,
But why wasn't it Milwaukee, right? That's my point.
because the Acme Packing Company put up the couple bucks it took to start an NFL team.
And
It
don't
really is
forget,
just basically just fucking dumb fucking luck.
We are thinking, coincidentally, guys, of coming out with a sports trek channel here on Rumble, but I don't want to get into sports talk. The point is, NFL was by no means this economic powerhouse until probably the early to mid 80s, I'd say, because I remember reading about John Madden in his own words. By the way, I can't wait for that movie coming out with who is it? Nick Cage as John Madden, and then Christian
No,
Bale
really?
as Al Davis. Yeah, and the pictures are amazing. We'll have to do a sports
That's
trek
funny.
stream on that. but they were eating like pork and beans out of a can in the 60s in their motel room. So it wasn't like these guys,
Well,
these $1 million guys now that are right out of college and all that type of shit. So
and it's a bit like the Star Trek actors, like from the original series. Like they don't get royalties on the TV shit because those didn't exist back when they made that show.
Right.
So I mean, they do with the movies and other shit, yes. But like, so the convention circuit was a necessary part of their income. That's why they did it. But like, I'm born in Green Bay. I lived here most of my life. A few years in the Milwaukee area, a few years in Iowa and stuff like that. But mostly Green Bay, in the Green Bay area, and it was not like a big thing to find some of these, legends in Packer histories, the 3 championships in a row back in the 60s, those guys, like to see them, to bump into them, broke ass and getting drunk at a fucking tavern.
Yeah.
They died broke. They didn't make
I believe
shit.
it. Sports Trek.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. And, I was thinking about it. So since we're bringing up sports, we'll detour a little bit here. In this whole culture war thing, it's kind of funny because there's so many of these channels out there that are just like, we don't want to talk about sport. Ew, sports ball. Like, how can you say that you're a culture war person and ignore one of the biggest impacts in culture out there? Fucking professional sports. Like, you don't think professional sports have an impact on the culture? Are you fucking kidding me?
4 words there, right? 4 words there. Are you not entertained?
Right. Yeah. I mean, Jesus Christ, like the NBA, that like none of that has any impact on the culture. If you think that, you're a fucking joke. And if you think you're a culture warrior and you can ignore that, you're a joke.
Yep. You got people ignoring it or ones that are full on embracing it. It's one or the other. So
I mean,
let's
and then
check this out.
Yeah.
Let's check this out really quick. SWA223 for $10. I don't know much about Star Trek. What novels would you recommend that I should start with? I will show you something after we're done talking about this. Coincidentally, I was going to recommend something based on the topics of tonight's stream, but that's a great segue. And once we're talking about this, I'll show you guys. But
I'm gonna have to defer to Tim on that because I have not read a Star Trek book in probably 25 plus years.
Let's see. Oh, you haven't read any books? Does that mean you're an illiterate?
Your
Yep.
agonizer, please.
Yeah, so
my experience
we'll
with
show
Star
you in a
Trek
minute.
books is that the quality control was nowhere near, and certainly there was no lore control, but the quality control too, compared to like a Lucasfilm,
Right, agreed.
and, LucasArts and things like that. Like even to the video games, all the way through the Star Trek video games, of which there were many, just very inconsistent in terms of just story quality and adherence or even like a semblance of care towards the canon of the universe.
You're right. And going to finish out the sports talk, it's either people on our side are not talking about it at all and saying, who gives a shit about, or they are, and they're just full on embracing, can't wait for the Super Bowl with bad woke bunny at halftime and trans cheerleaders and kneeling and hands up, don't shoot. And I haven't watched that garbage in coming up on 6 years.
I honestly
6
hope there's
years.
like a catastrophic like TV outage and the whole game doesn't get broadcast. I think that would be the most hilarious fucking thing in the world.
If they're on Paramount Plus, it'll probably be that way. I can tell you that much.
Yeah. Or they just fucking ice goes and fucking like Marco Rubio like parachutes into the stadium and arrests that faggot performer. Like himself, like in full in like he's like an honorary SWAT member. Like him and Tom Homan like fucking parachute in with fucking carrying 50 cows, you know, and arrest that piece of shit faggot.
That'd be hilarious. So here's the thing, SWA. You kind of need to see the original series, right? And by the way, if you have not seen the original series, here's what you can do. You can find a channel called The Geek Blend. And shit, man, that I think we wrapped up 5 years ago, like this week, I think. I think we were done with all the
Has
movies.
it been that long? Jesus Christ.
2021, yeah. But starting in August of 2020, we started reviewing like in watch-alongs. Now, unless I had the mirror in the background at my old house, you couldn't see the screen. But if you hit play when we hit play, then you can kind of like get our commentary on those episodes. So
And
if
you
you
can kind of
watch all
skip to the
those,
end on them too to get kind of like a synopsis of it. And
yeah,
like I got to be honest, like I think that as far as streams go, like I'm very proud of our Mandalorian streams that I and Rhino did. Those were great because we just tore that fucker to shreds. But I really like the Star Trek work we did, and then and the Orville work as well, which I assume we're going to get into the Orville work today.
Most definitely.
But even in our watch along, so like we're Star Trek fans, but we gave those episodes, even the the vaunted holy original series, right? We gave it a pretty honest assessment, and we're pretty harsh on some of the episodes. Like it was not like if you want to watch something where it's like, you know, like the Banjo Boys just fucking gooing all over something, like that's not, you don't want to watch us.
Especially season 3. I mean,
yeah, especially season 3. But I mean,
Kirk, yeah.
When there were dog episodes, we treated them like dog episodes. And
by the way, I meant to give this call out tonight actually, but this is a great reminder because I would have forgotten. Greg, right here on the stream with me, he's the one who coined the term Banjo Boys. So we've all been doing the banjo meme, you know, with the emojis and in the AI songs and all that. But the term itself, Banjo Boys, Greg came up with it. I think it was like at least 3 years ago, at least 2023. Might have been before
it's
that.
It's been a while. They've been on my radar as untrustworthy, an unworthy allies.
Oh, the mask is totally off now over the last, no pun intended with the AI stuff, but I can tell you guys this, Gabriel Knight has cooked something up for Justin's stream tomorrow night, I think, and it's the best AI songs and music videos ever, and the target is Yavin Base Broadcast. So you tune in.
Nice.
You're gonna laugh your ass off. Like he had for a few points of advice. I'm not going to take that much credit for it because it was mainly, not mainly, it was majority wise. It was Gabriel Knight. So make sure you watch that tomorrow night. It was freaking hilarious. But here's the book. You kind of need to see the series to appreciate the book. But this guy, John Ford, wrote this book, and there's kind of a sequel to it several years later, again, in these numbered books that are not in continuity with each other. And they're in continuity with the series to the extent that, hey, when the story's over, you got to put everything back the way it was. Well, this story takes place years before Kirk. So the framing story is told from Captain Kirk and his era, but it goes back maybe 20 years to when this stupid war in Discovery happens, right? Where there's these fake weird like orc Klingons. Well, this is like the same Klingons you see in the series, and the Federation first makes contact with them. There's different ships, shit like that. It's just a fantastic fucking story. Well, this guy John Ford went on to write a source book. We're actually going to take a look at it later, one of the later editions. So he wrote the source book I think 4 or 5 years before TNG came out. So he knew the TOS, he knew TAS, the animated series, he knew the motion picture, and uh, Khan was in production when he wrote the source book for the FOSSA role playing game. So that's what he had to go on, and a lot of the shit from that was kind of used in TNG to make Klingons more honorable, right? Not just these cookie cutter villains. And that's kind of what they were in TOS.
Yeah, like
To a certain
TOS Klingons were I would the way I describe them is TOS Klingons were more akin to mirror universe Starfleet. They kind of
Yeah,
like
that's a good way of putting it.
they're basically like almost down to the goatees, right?
Yep.
But yeah, I would say that they're a little bit more mirror universe, and then they kind of got reimagined, in the era of the movies, and TNG as to be a little bit different because ultimately, when it boiled down to it, they were a little bit too much like mirror universe, and they were a little bit too much like the Romulans, and they wanted something to be more of a good kind of stand-in for like an empire,
Yep.
an aggressive expansionist empire.
Yep. And that one, my favorite episode, Errand of Mercy, I think really did that, where they had taken over that planet, with the Organians, and then Kirk and Spock are waging this like guerrilla war against them because they
Yeah.
didn't know that they were members of Starfleet. That was that kind of like really defined what is the Klingon Empire about. But this book here, it's it's not just, oh, it's a war. It's, you got to read it. It's really nuanced and a fantastic book. And then the second one is more of a comedy book, but it follows up on the same Klingon culture. It's How Much Just for the Planet, and it came out a couple of years after this one did. So those are the ones I'd recommend, but you got to check out TOS first to fully appreciate it. And again, they kind of took what John Ford did with Klingons, and then they took some of that and they put it in TNG with Worf. And hey, they're an honorable people. And throughout that series, they kind of expanded on on the Klingon lore and their culture and stuff. And so has Academy. I don't think we're going to get too deep into that, but
Well, I mean,
I guess in indirect manner we will.
yeah, I mean the first rewrite of Klingons, of course, was the movies, right, and then TNG era, and then I think DS9 kind of took it a little bit further, and then it was like bastardized by Discovery in the new era, horrifically so, because like in Kurtzman's mind, Star Trek is Middle Earth and space. And they really do, like, it really does. Like, if you look at what he makes the Romulans elfish, and he makes the Klingons orcish, just in appearance and mannerism and in style and everything. And that's basically like that's what he did. And so you had that, and then you got this like further like weird event with the Starfleet Academy and what they're doing with the burn and all that other stuff. But basically, like, again, once you say the word the burn in Star Trek, it's like, well, none of it matters because that's fucking bullshit.
Well, we'll answer Mike's question later on in the stream when we go over that. It's a good question, but yeah, we'll answer that later. I wanted to look at a couple of current news pieces and get your thoughts on this. It's always interesting what's out there on Star Trek that no one's covering, but this is woman's world. I think my mother used to subscribe to that. This is from a couple of days ago. I can't explain this inside the 1974 Star Trek fan phenomenon that baffled Shatner. So I kind of alluded to this earlier. We'd get into it. Why William Shatner called the loyal Trekkies an incredible phenomenon only 5 years after the show. Early 1974, Star Trek had been off the air for 5 years, canceled quietly by NBC after 3 seasons, and seemingly destined to live out its afterlife in reruns. What no one at the network or in Hollywood more broadly had anticipated was what would happen next. As the series cycled endlessly through local television schedules, something unprecedented began to take shape, an audience that refused to let the show fade away. That growing phenomenon became impossible to ignore just days before William Shatner appeared on Geraldo Rivera's Boo, Good Night America.
God.
A massive Star Trek convention in New York had drawn an estimated 10,000 attendees, children, adults, and longtime fans who packed ballrooms, hallways, and event spaces to celebrate a show
That's huge for
that
the
technically
time.
no longer existed. Yeah, 10,000 guys,
I mean, that's huge.
This is like a gun show in rural Houston, Texas, like in the suburbs of Houston, Texas. 10,000 people. That's a lot. Costumes, memorabilia that you could probably actually look at, and like the douchebags I mentioned earlier, and an intensity of devotion rarely seen outside sports or religion filled the hotel. For television in the early 1970s, it was something close to unheard of. You just said it. Did you read this article?
No.
So here's what Geraldo said. Since
I
it's gone
canceled my
off,
subscription to Women's World. I'm sorry.
yeah, no shit. Since it's gone off the air and into reruns, Rivera said, the number of Trekkies has soared and a fantastic cult has developed around the show. When Shatner joined Rivera on stage, the scale of that devotion was still something he was struggling to process. Asked how long the show had been off the air, he replied simply, I think it's been off 5 years. But when Rivera pressed him about the meaning of a convention drawing 10,000 people and a packed audience watching him live, Shatner was candid about his confusion. I have worked all my life as an actor, spent years and years in the business, and I can't explain this. He said, my experience gives me no answer. I can't put it down to anything but an incredible phenomenon. What struck him most was not the costumes or the spectacle, but the intelligence and memory of the fans themselves. There are, you may not believe this, a group of intelligent people down there who are all dressed up in some aspect of one of the characters that appeared on a series that has been defunct for 5 years, no longer shooting. It's been played again and again and again. I meet people who come up and tell me lines that I've said. By now, I've forgotten the plot lines. I'll watch a Star Trek now and wonder how it's going to come out. Shatner described facing crowds larger than any he'd ever encountered before, larger even than outdoor variety shows he'd played earlier in his career. I faced 10,000 people in a room, 10,000 people, and I had no prepared material at all that night before I went on. The imbalance between actor and audience was striking. What can I tell these people who know the scripts and the characters and the inner motivations far more than I ever did when it was fresh? So here's what's interesting. I think that I've never seen this before. I mean, obviously, he said these things, 50 years ago, 1974, a couple of years before we were born. So I think this might have been what made him say, hey, there's another career here, because all throughout the 80s, 90s, he would get up there, sometimes in conjunction with Nimoy, just a couple of stools and them and a couple of mics, and they would talk about the franchise for hours, right? And they could build, it was almost like being a YouTuber, like, hey, we're going to sit here on the stage and captivate people just by talking about what the fuck ever, anything to do with this franchise, and these people will listen. So I think he realized he was onto something here, because unlike what you see like in a lot of the memes and that SNL skit, I don't think Shatner ever rejected Star Trek. I think he was always someone who embraced it. Like the movies all throughout the 80s, the 90s, he came back for Generations, didn't have to. Yeah, he made TJ Hooker. He wrote novels, Tech War. That's what I was going to say. That typo earlier on techies. He wrote the
Yeah.
tech war books. I think he's always embraced it, and I think something like this here, he saw it, and he's like, "Whoa, there are like potential dollar signs there." This was probably his aha moment. What do you think?
Well, I think it's like I think he's been doing it his whole life. Like, he just recently turned getting caught eating cereal in his car and doing an endorsement
Yes.
for fucking Raisin Bran.
Yes.
Like, the guy's fucking good. He knows.
Was he
knows how to
driving or
market
was he
him.
just in the car?
I think he was driving.
Oh my god.
He was at a stoplight or whatever, and he was just like eating cereal. And then
I've seen the
basically, like,
picture.
yeah, like, hey, yeah, that was me, and I was eating Raisin Bran, and fucking sure enough, he's fucking got a sponsorship deal with fucking Raisin Bran. Like, that's fucking brilliant. Like,
95
good
years
for
old,
you.
right?
93 or something. Like
93, okay.
he's up there. I don't remember his exact age. Looking back though, like and kind of hearing him recast, I think I kind of understand a little bit. I can guess as to what the nature of the phenomenon was. And that was like, if you look at what was syndicated back then for TV shows, it was mostly your sitcom shit. Right? And here comes a show where people can, this was like your first, this is one of the first like binge watch shows because it was on so often on so many channels that you could just keep watching and watching and watching it. You had great access to it. There was no waiting for another episode. There was another episode like ready to go, until you cycled through all 71 of them or whatever.
79.
79 of them. Yeah. Thank you.
Fake fan confirmed.
Yeah, that's me. I don't know the number.
So
of episodes.
here's how I got into it. I might have told this story before, but my parents knew I liked Star Wars right at the age of, I don't know, 2.5, 3 years old. Well, Channel 2 in Northern California, at that time, we could still get it in the Valley. For whatever reason, it went away, like, I don't know, in the late 80s, and we got some other channels instead that were different affiliates, but it was like there's only 1, 2 was like their catch line. But I remember one day my father sat me down in front of the TV, that was on the wheeled stand back in the day, and said, "Oh, watch this. This is, it's like Star Wars." Like, okay.
Because it has spaceships, right?
Yeah. And what episode was it? It was Arena. With
Gorn episode.
With the Gorn. And I'm like,
Yeah.
This is the fucking greatest thing ever. So I would watch it all the time.
You just
Later
watch that
on.
as you're going,
Yeah. Later on, when we got a VCR from Montgomery Ward, it was the floor model. It didn't want to record all the time, but I had Kodak
Montgomery
blank
Ward.
VHS tapes, Kodak ones with the yellow slip cases,
Yeah,
and I would
remember.
record every episode I could. My grandfather was on Sacramento cable. So he had like 2 or 3 episodes. So I'd go spend the night up there, record a bunch of episodes. So I probably had 30 to 35 episodes at one point because you couldn't go out and just, I'm going to buy all the VHS. I don't think the first VHS collection came out until like late
No, and
86.
like at the cost,
They
would
were
have been
high
like,
dollar.
Then it would have been like $400.
Well, here's how they did it back then. You would sign up for a subscription, right? And they would mail one to you every time it came out, like every 2 months. And then it was like, for $70 every month, we'll send you another tape. So it's like, no, I'm watching all these ones that I had on the Kodak tapes. And I think I finally got rid of those about 12 years ago. We were cleaning out the garage, and it's like, I have all these VHS tapes, and I'm never going to watch these again, and I took them to
where am I even
Goodwill or
going to get a
something.
player to fucking play the damn things,
Yeah,
Even if
I'm
the
not
tape-
rich,
even if the
right? I
quality
can't
of the
afford
tape
one.
is-
No, I have 2 VCRs right here in the walk-in attic, believe it or not, and they
Nice.
still work. But in any event, like that confirmed, like, hey, Star Trek nerd, right? Didn't really have any clothing, didn't have any shirts, because you couldn't just walk into a store, or you couldn't get online and order a Star Trek shirt. But I had,
you
toys.
can 3D print your shit and
Right. I had a couple of toys. I had books, stuff like that. So yeah, I was, and my father was a fan too. I think he liked Trek more than he did like Star Wars. So that's how I became a fan. And to your point, you could watch that shit again and again. I probably watched your favorite episode, A Piece of the Action, probably like 30, 40 times, like on that recorded Kodak tape.
Action.
Yeah.
Yeah. The fun thing about like collecting the stars, there was a lot of licensed crap. It just wasn't widely available. So you could find some really weird stuff. Like I have somewhere in one of my boxes, I think my grandma found this at a fucking rummage sale or whatever. Like I have this book, and it's a book of patterns of like how to create your Star Trek the original series uniforms. Like this, like if you wanted to cosplay and like you know, if you wanted to sew and actually make a Starfleet uniform, like this was the book you bought to do that. You know, of course, I never.
They had something like that in the Franz Joseph book, the Star Trek. What's the name of that book? I have it right over here. The Star Trek Technical Manual. They have like patterns in there, but they're not very detailed, but they're in there.
Yeah, no, this one was, I mean, the detail in this book, well, I don't know fuck all about sewing, but like I can honestly say I've never worn a Star Trek uniform. I have a couple Star Trek shirts, like t-shirts that I bought, but nothing like not in any cosplay of any particular kind.
Yeah, so here's the thing, and here let me change this over here. I can't believe this API is not working. I think there's like a day delay or something, or at least a several hour delay, so that I can actually highlight the comments. He asked the question here in Super Chat, Rumble Rant for him, $5. Did you ever buy your own Decipher CCG cards? Yes, I got some in a box right over there. In fact, I'll bring some out later, and it was every bit as good as the Star Wars one. The Star Wars one was amazing for the same reason the Star Trek one was. It had like, I don't know, some like really quirky and sometimes spicy bits in the descriptions. Like they'll take a screenshot from an episode and they'll have something in there that kind of makes you chuckle, and then it'll have all the powers and whatever that card does. So yeah, I have quite a few of the mainly TNG stuff from the Decipher company, but yeah, way better than whatever came after it. Just like with Star Wars, that stupid one that Wizards of the Coast came out with for Star Wars paled in comparison to the Decipher game. Have you ever seen those cards?
I've seen them. I've never been like a card collecting guy. Like it just never appealed to me. Not baseball cards, football cards. I really just couldn't care less. I mean, the only cards I remember ever owning a significant quantity of was the original runs of the Garbage Pail Kids. That was the extent of my collecting cards of any kind because I thought they were funny.
Yeah, I'll pull some of those out later. In fact, I think on X a couple of years ago, I was posting some images, some good like scans I'd taken with my phone of them. So yeah, I'll pull some out later. But yeah, thanks for the $5 Rumble
I
Rant.
played a number of the
Gabriel
Star
Knight.
Trek video games that came out over the years. I couldn't even tell you which ones or what.
There's actually been a lot.
There have been quite a few.
You deny me the motive of these charges. Don't wait for the translation.
Answer me now.
Answer me now. No, yeah.
Klingon, Christopher Plummer. Chang.
Or the Atari 2600
Yeah.
Star Trek. So yeah, there were some awesome ones. Let me think of what else there was like a sit down game, like one of those kind of like the X-Wing fighter game they had for Star Wars. There was a sit down game they had. There was my favorite, and I've talked about this many times, 25th Anniversary. I freaking love that game. You know which one I'm talking about?
No.
So 25th Anniversary, obviously came out in 1991. A guy that we knew that was super into computers. He copied it onto my 386. It was like a 5 floppy disk game, but he had
Hmm.
added some hard drive space to our PC, loaded it on there, and it was like a combination of a puzzle solving game and a space combat game. Like you'd run into like either Orion pirates, Klingons, or Romulans, and you'd have to fight
Okay.
in space. But then on the planets, it was a whole fucking storyline. Every like level was an episode with a name and everything,
Hmm.
and you would have to like it was remember Mist,
Yeah.
MYST. It was kind of
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that. It was fucking hard. Well, Nintendo, I think I have it right behind me over here. I could pull it out. Nintendo came out with the same game, but it was all like different levels, but the same concept. And that game was fucking hard. Like you got to like figure out, what do I do in this room, or what do I do on this planet if I'm out in the field? Like it was tough, but it was like really true to Star Trek. Fun game,
Hmm.
25th anniversary. Yeah, totally games. Bridge Commander, Gummies in the chat over there on the Rumble side. I remember there were a lot in the late 90s that started coming out. And I think I would buy those multi packs where you get like Borg, and then you get the encyclopedia, and you get Bridge Commander and whatever else. And I only played some of them. So yeah, Star Trek games have, I think they've had a pretty good track record.
It's
Yeah, I'll
tough
pull
to
some of
make
those
like
cards
those
out later.
style of games anymore because like internet, YouTube, Twitch, things like that kind of made those games kind of the temptation to just cheat and skip past too much and just to keep pushing forward in the game. It kind of takes the puzzle, especially like puzzle components in these games. It's too easy to cheat on them, and like don't have to be good. You don't have to try. You don't really even have to think. You can just kind of like blow through them. And if you get even mildly paused, you just do a Google search and you're through it. Like that shit didn't exist then, not really.
Yep.
So you had to,
We-
like, you really had to like puzzle your way through it.
Yeah, we also had a board game that was freaking awesome. I have some pieces of it around the house. I don't have the whole game. It was like a combination trivia and I don't know, like game where you move your pieces around the board, like, but not like in a linear format. It was really interesting. I'll have to find that on the internet and get it ready for next time we do an Off the Treks. But had a lot of Trek memorabilia. So blow into the cartridge. Yeah, I remember that. Whew, let me spit all in it. Like, I figured that out really quick that, hey, this is not helping. It's probably hurting, right? So,
Yeah, like if it's literally dust, you would be better off just wiping the dust off of it. Like, but dust is generally not very conductive, so like it really, yeah, it was a placebo effect.
yeah, and it wasn't,
It's
yeah,
just
exactly.
the cartridge is just not being aligned properly with the pins, and that was probably.
And it wasn't
most of
like microfiber was readily available,
Right.
in the late 80s, early 90s. So, okay, let me get a Q-tip and some alcohol. Well, the Q-tip is like cotton, and it, comes off really easily. So,
Yeah, you're
probably
gonna
not a
leave
good
more
idea
schnibbles
there,
of cotton behind than you're gonna be wiping up dirt. Yeah.
Yeah. They just made me think of that scene from Cable Guy. I was into
That was a funny scene.
I've never seen the Cable Guy.
Oh, so the scene on the cable guys, they're going to like, they go to this medieval restaurant show place. I forget what it's called, but like, where they do like gladiator fights and everything. And the main character, Cable Guy, Jim Carrey plays as the Cable Guy, is kind of weird, and he's his best friend, and they do the battle that Kirk and Spock have on Vulcan. And when
They
Spock's
they
trying to-
react to a muck time, Gummy is saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, another
Yeah,
good episode.
basically.
Man, that music. Is that when the fight?
That's
music
what it is.
was
And
used?
see the Jim Carrey during the scene while he's fighting, he's sitting there going,
Do-do-do-do-do.
"Bro, bro," and like he's doing the noise.
Because it starts out with that
it's
bass
funny.
line, that do 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 do. That's just the
Yeah.
greatest thing ever, man. Star
Yeah,
Trek
it was-
music underrated.
yeah. It
Um,
is. It is.
yeah.
Well, Wrath of Khan is my favorite. Well, it's my favorite of a lot of things, but it's probably my favorite film score of all time.
Which one? Wrath of Khan.
Wrath of Khan. Oh yeah, James Horner in that one. That was great. That
Honestly,
Battle
all
in
the
that little
movies
video.
had bangers, like from TNT
They did.
all
They-
the way.
even
all the way
even
to
the next
Undiscovered
generation
Country.
ones had pretty good music. Like I think that's the best thing about First Contact is the soundtrack to that one was pretty good.
Yeah, it starts out with the TOS theme.
Mm-hmm.
Wah, 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 wah. Yeah.
Yeah,
It was
well, I mean,
good.
and they changed it up, like it's the beginning of 6 with that haunting, like that
Mhm.
break right before Praxis explodes. Right, it was just like it was like, ooh, what's this building up to? And like you just
Yeah,
the
but
opening
I
credits,
really-
and it keeps getting like more and more intense. Then Praxis explodes. It's great.
But I really like the ending theme too, because it has like this American West feel to it, and it's in line
Absolutely.
with the wagon train to the stars theme of Star Trek. So
Yeah, but and there was little in the end scene in the end music in Star Trek 6, and the credits are rolling. They even do like little homage to like the originals, where like when they're signing the screen or when they're signing the fuck you, when they're signing their autographs, like the cast is doing their final one. They finally get to the Shatner's and
remember-
then it keys up the original like.
remember when I did that for us?
Yeah.
Like because here's the thing, going back to those watch parties, like we had an intro for TOS, and then I made it, and then we did one for the movies, and I used like autographs of me, Greg, and
Yeah,
Jeff,
yeah.
and I just found like autograph fonts or whatever and used those.
Sure.
So that's where I learned a lot about video editing, was just kind of messing around with stuff 5 years ago. But Jerry Goldsmith understood
Yes.
Star Trek music. And what's the other guy's name? Horner.
Yep, James Horner.
James Horner.
particular-
Yep. mhm.
Which I mean, like, he really was only officially did I think 2 and 3, but his stuff was used like for long times afterwards. Just like kind of like Jerry Goldsmith, like his stuff was used over and over and over again throughout the years because it's like Williams stuff is going to always be used for Star Wars or pick the franchise or Indiana Jones or whatever, because it's associated with the property. Like you have to at least bring in motifs of it.
And the original guy, I've always wondered, is this like a pen name or something? I've never even looked it up, but Alexander Courage did, the original TOS thing. Was that his real? Was that a real name, or was that someone else?
No idea.
Alexander Courage, like
That
what a
was
great
like-
name.
That was an intro that like was, you first hear it, you're like, what is this? This is weird. Especially like you grow up in, like, if you're watching it like later on and you're first watching Star Trek, the original series, for the first time, and you hear that like opening thing, you're like, what the fuck is this? What chick is yodeling here or whatever? Like it's weird. But it grows on you. And it's just like, I remember like when Enterprise came out, like the change in format for like the opening song, where it was like, it was a song, like,
It's been a long road getting from there to here.
but I'll tell you, that really put a lot of Star Trek people off. They're like, what is this shit? You can't do that. Like that, you can't do that in a like it has to be this like symphony, like orchestra thing, like that was a horrible departure. But I'll tell you, and at first I was put off by it, but like, man, did that intro grew on me, like to the point where I'm just like, by the time the later seasons are gone, I'm singing it, like I'm singing along with it.
Here's another thing you can thank George Lucas for, was bringing orchestral music back to movies, because they wanted him to put disco music in Star Wars. The studio's like, no,
That
you
would
got to
have been
do this.
ridiculous, yeah.
Yeah, it would have probably ruined the movie. Here's the thing, guys.
It wouldn't have just ruined that movie. It would have ruined movies. Like, think about like how many movies are made by this. Imagine like Back to the Future without that theme song.
Yeah, and this isn't a Star Wars stream, but everything that happened with Star Wars had to go right, or it would have failed. The editing from from Chew and the white guy, can't think of his name. The what else? The music, the Ralph McQuarrie concept art, all that stuff had to go right,
down to like,
or that movie would have sucked.
Using what's his name's voice for Chewbacca and for Vader, and like, all that stuff.
Yep.
There's
he was going to use Orson Welles originally. Like, are you kidding me?
Like, like these things, these kind of movies that just become timeless and just like incredible. Like, as much as Hollywood wants to be able to manufacture them, they just like, it's tough. Like all the things just gotta work and click, and there's a million ways it could go sideways in production, and like a million ways where it damn near did, and it was just barely like pulled out, and from the nosedive it was on, from production overruns and cost overruns.
But you know what? I could simplify it and just say, hey, Star Wars would have been a disaster had it not been for Marcia, right? We could always just say that.
I think that she had almost nothing to do with it, but that's just me. The more she professes that she had stuff to do with it, I'm just kind of like, or
the more other people profess too. It's like it's not even necessarily.
Well, they're professing it just to shit on Lucas, or be like, well, Lucas wasn't that bad. Like, no, like, you may not like everything he's ever done in his life. I certainly don't like his pick for who runs his company after he left it, but like,
certainly don't like who he had in his house about a year and a half ago.
Certainly, but like, you're not going to, like, it required him. Only he could have made that work.
Yeah, you're right.
And it only Shatner could be James Kirk. It just wouldn't have worked. I mean, like, something other than a Kirk might have worked, but like, could you imagine?
Yeah, I can't. That's the thing. So I'm going to get you started talking on this, and I've got to go out of this door over here, all the way down a hallway, downstairs, all the way back here into the garage, because I'm going to get one beer, and then I'm going to get my bottle of bourbon. So here's another story.
Alrighty.
And let me flip over to this. Look at this. Some channel, and I don't know if they have their multi-streaming like we are. Oh, look, you only got 171 views, and you had Walter Koenig on your live stream. So I don't know if they're on like multiple platforms, and one of them, maybe like a podcast platform had thousands of views, but these guys,
right, and who's going to who's promoting it, like,
right,
yeah, like, who even knew it?
So
I had no idea he was doing an interview.
This was today, like 7 hours ago, before I refreshed, So these guys interviewed him, and there's an article here on it. Screen Rant. William Shatner knew what he could do as Star Trek's lead, says Walter Koenig. So we're not going to watch the whole thing because it goes on for a couple of hours, but this is what Koenig said about Shatner. Bill Shatner, in the role of Captain Kirk, took more chances with that character in dimensionalizing him and showing us a side that was a little not so complimentary than most leading actors. Most leading actors are trying to be Edgar Bergen. Do you know who Edgar Bergen was? They missed the D there. He was a ventriloquist, and the point of ventriloquism was not to let your mouth move when you spoke for the puppet. Most leading actors sort of do that, but Bill took chances all the time. I mean, for him, it wasn't chances. He knew what he could do. He had a strong sense of his versatility, but I always appreciated that. There were a couple of times, like in the first Star Trek movie, when he was a little on the petty side, when he wanted the captaincy back at Stephen Collins's expense. That's the guy that played Decker. And I thought, good for him. Good for him letting us see that, letting us see that he wasn't Douglas Fairbanks Jr. It's like, hey, Walter, quit dropping all these actors' names and no one knows who the fuck they are, right? But do you kind of think, I guess, starting with the first movie with TMP, do you think like Shatner was letting Shatner creep into the Captain Kirk character? I'll be back, go.
I think a little bit, sure. Like, and why wouldn't, like, I think he was letting a little bit of the legend of Kirk creep into the character of Kirk, and he was kind of playing into that a little bit. But he also knew that, like, I think at that point he knew the formula that the show was about the three leads. You know, primarily him, but then the dynamic between him, McCoy, and Spock. And I think anybody who watches the original series, or anybody, and certainly like, Nicholas Meyer, who did like the Wrath of Khan movie, he directed and wrote it, like he understood that was the principal dynamic of the show. Like maybe he was being a little meta, like he's gonna have the character kind of, the character's selfishness kind of, or his selfishness regard to the spotlight kind of creep into the character a little bit. I don't know. I guess that, like, I don't know, because like you're gonna do these movies. The show hasn't been on in like like how long? 15 plus years or whatever. Like you gotta do something where like what's happened to these characters? Like none of them advanced in ranks. None of them, like, he never got promoted. Nothing ever happened. Like, so you gotta one, both somehow explain that like he grew in the ranks and achieved stuff, but at the same time put him back in the captain's chair to do the movie, because nobody wants to see him run an office on a starbase. That's not a movie. That's not going to work. They wanted to see Kirk in action, and I think that Shatner understood that, like that's going to be something that he has to do. I don't know. Like I do respect that Koenig is not been one of the actors that have just kind of been very snippy towards his other cast members, any of them really, as far as I know. And I like that. He's just kind of rolled with it, and he's just been like, well, I'm a part of this thing. I'm like it was great. Like, it's my whole life is, I've made a whole life of this. I'm not going to shit on it. I'm not going to shit on the people who built it.
No,
So
I like
respect
all the
him for that.
points you've made. And I agree with them, because I think of anyone on that cast, he and probably Nichelle Nichols, and she's kind of been graceful as well, right? It's like at the end of the day, I hate to say this, but they're lucky for their roles. And I think they realize that too. And I think they showed that appreciation over the years. But, someone like Nimoy, I resent Shatner, and he's made statements before, even though they do stuff together at conventions. You, of course, have Takai, right? Hey,
Yeah.
I resent Bill. You have his ass.
I think
Not
James
really.
Doohan had some pretty nasty things to
Yeah,
say
yeah.
about Shatner as well.
Yep. I think you're right. So it's nice to see people appreciating what they had. And at the end of the day, does anyone, probably barring Nimoy, have any ground to stand on when it comes to like criticizing what Shatner did? Because the whole thing would have fallen apart without Shatner. Period. Point blank.
He was the show. Like he was these shows take place in a time period, like and when they air, and like I don't know, like the show would have just been it just wouldn't have worked without having somebody like Kirk, like Shatner in the lead role. Like you needed that captain. Like a Picard style captain wouldn't have worked in that era. A Janeway captain wouldn't have worked in that era. It wouldn't have been entertaining. It wouldn't have been successful. It wouldn't have found an audience.
Yeah, I think
And I
I'll
think
try
that,
to listen to that entire interview sometime this week while I'm sitting here working.
He can be a little difficult to listen to in some of his interviews.
I don't
Like, he's a
disagree
little,
with you. Yeah.
I mean, I like the guy. Like, I don't dislike him, and like I said, I appreciate that he appreciates the opportunity he's had to make this thing his life. And like actors are weird people. Hollywood people are weird people. And Shatner, I think, had this phase, and Nimoy certainly had this phase as well. I mean, he wrote the fucking "I'm Not Spock" book, right? Like, where they're like, well, I'm typecast. I want to grow as an artist, and they fancy themselves as being an artist. And some of these other people are just like, you could be the best. Like, you gotta understand the way Hollywood works is like it's not really that much of a meritocracy. It really is kind of like, because the difference in quality, I think, from like your top tier to your like bottom 25% isn't that bad. The band is not very wide. It's pretty narrow. And so like, you're kind of a dime a dozen and pretty replaceable in Hollywood, especially these days. So like, like you may be like, you could end up being, I don't know, like, pick another thing, like, another sitcom or some other show where you're like, well, I resent always being this character. Like I never, nobody ever sees me as anything other than that. But like, do you know how, like, there are like 100,000 people that would kill you to take your spot in your life. They didn't even get, like, you're bitching that like your opportunities have been limited because you've been typecast. But like, what about put yourself in the shoes of the other bitches who like who fucked a producer and still didn't get the role, any role, and burned out and left Hollywood. Like, or think about the people that like, they left the show and they became drug addicts and dead. There's a pile of them in Hollywood as well. A large pile of those. Just absolutely like well, their 5 minutes were up and they just crashed. So I don't know.
Yeah. And all could have been prevented too, from the moral people in Hollywood.
Yeah, there really are like the scummiest people on earth.
Yeah,
it's so amusing that they dare to lecture anybody else on right, with any sense of righteousness. People are horrible.
Yeah, and I'm having a really tough time separating actors from characters right now because so many of them are pieces of shit, and we know that. So it's almost hard to watch them in movies without thinking, man, this guy is a piece of shit. It's tough.
I can't at all.
Sad.
Like I can't, like, you're gonna ask me, like, you want to ask, like, do I want to watch a Molly Ringwald movie? I loved those 80s movies. Like, Pretty in Pink, 16 Candles, Breakfast Club, like all those movies that she was in. Great movies, infinitely rewatchable. But do I want to watch them right now? No, not really.
No, I'm with you.
Foray into political discourse. Wow, you're part of the Brat Pack 50 years ago. Like, should pay attention to your politics. Why?
I'm totally with you.
Peter Dinklage, like the list right now, and like I didn't even watch like the Golden Globes or fucking midget piece of crap. I'm not. Award shows have never interested me, but like I certainly am not gonna like to tune into that just to get pissed off. Like no, I see enough to piss me off right now that I don't need that additional aggravation.
Yeah, I'm with you.
So for the most part, unless I see it like float by on my Twitter feed, I'm probably not even realizing what they're saying because I'm just not tuning in.
Yep. Let's see here. That's really weird. I just uploaded 2 things and they're not there. Let's try that again. Stupid fucking thing. Yeah, I've, kind of run out of clips, so it's like I've got to get some more on here. It's a good problem to have, right? But
yeah,
I don't know why in the hell that shit did not upload when it even said, confirmed upload. Yeah. Fuck it. I can't find it.
Jason Statham has made it for decades by accepting that stereotype. Well, a lot of them have, like Schwartz. Take almost all your '80s action guys, right? '80s and '90s action guys. They were typecast, of course they were. Occasionally, they try to take the role to kind of break away from that, but they ended up going back, like Schwarzenegger would go back to the Terminator type stuff, and Sylvester Stallone would go back to Rocky and other type stuff. Even though he did things like what the fuck, the one where he's a sheriff in like New Jersey.
Copland.
Like,
I think it's underrated. I have seen that movie.
I thought it was overrated. Because the people that I talked to around that were like really talking it up, and I'm like, it's okay. I just didn't think it was that great. I mean, I didn't think it was like a masterpiece or of acting or storytelling. It was
like dunked on when it first came out, unfortunately, but
yeah. Well, I mean, because it's got him in it, basically. It's like, oh, that's the guy in Stopper.
And he gained 40 pounds or whatever for the role, But
okay, so like, I'm really over the whole like marveling at actors gaining and losing weight for stuff now because like they're all on fucking Ozempic anyway. So like,
yeah, what a sad drug that is. Have you seen Kelly Osbourne?
Well, yeah. Well, it's really sad with people who are on it or continue to take it when they're like they've lost all the weight they've needed to lose and then some, and they just become like fucking. They end up looking like Somalis.
Well, it makes you ask yourself: is the shit addictive or not? Needs to be a Star Trek episode on that, right? Make an Academy episode on that. Make the black chick who is like a hologram or whatever the hell she is. All right. We got 2 gifted memberships again from SWA.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much for that. And I do have some stuff to play for that. Here we go.
Revenge is a dish that is best served cold.
It is very cold in space.
I'm going to Disneyland.
Hot Shots.
Thank you. Yes. What a great movie. We got to have like a watch party or something on that.
Those movies, I think that's like, was that Zucker, Abrams Zucker, or was that Mel Brooks?
They were not Mel Brooks.
I think it's the same as the Airplane guys, right? Then the Zucker, Abrams, like those fucking, like they're so stupid, but fucking funny. Like,
yeah, how do you do that?
The whole bit where he keeps sitting on a fucking dog. Or characters just keep sitting on a fucking dog. You're like,
it's a running gag, right?
Yeah, this whole reoccurring bit where like, oh, there's a stupid rat dog on the chair. Ha ha. And you're just like,
It
that
should-
shouldn't be funny, but it is.
But it is, yeah. It's like it's a movie that you need to have a bunch of drinks or get baked and just watch because that dog thing makes it like even funnier, you know. So holy chitful, another gifted membership. And guys, those gifted memberships like are awesome. Like on Rumble, especially, they help pay out every month. So thank you so much for helping us keep the lights on. We'll have to revisit one here. And this right here will kind of be a preview of what's to come later on in the stream.
He knew exactly how I liked to be touched. It was the most physical dream I've ever had.
Beverly is a whore.
She kind of is.
Yeah, she fucks ghosts and everything. So
Transsexual trills.
yeah. One of the Zuckers. Excited about Henry Cavill as Connor McLeod.
Really? Like
Is that,
Connor as like a big dude?
Is that Highlander?
Yeah.
Okay. Never really got into Highlander. I just know the
Me either.
Freebirds are in the opening of the first movie, right? Nimoy and Takai are the Anthony Daniels of... Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
Takai particularly, I think Nimoy, I'll give him a little bit more leeway.
Oh, 3 gorillas in the house. We got Jorge Lucas in the house. Stopper, my mom will shoot. Yeah, with Sophia from the Golden Girls. Yep.
Yeah. And I'll give Nimoy a little credit because like he did direct 3 and 4.
3 and 4, yes.
Yeah, 3 and 4.
Maybe
so.
6. Who directed 6?
No, that was Nicholas Meyer, same as 2. So it basically went Nicholas Meyer in 2, and then Nimoy, Shatner, Meyer.
And then Shatner was like, I got to get on in this directing business, guys. And
and that didn't like. Well, to be fair, like if you look at 5, really, like they sacked him with like a shit fucking budget. They must have like, I mean, because that thing looks cheap. It uses like cut footage, and like it's just cheaply produced.
We're gonna have to.
Yes, I love
Baggins song.
I love that Nimoy song about Bilbo Baggins. You're right.
We're gonna have to do that sometime. Oh man, let's see. Well, I guess it's about time to do what we need to do.
All right, let's do it. What are we doing?
We're going to talk about the uncomfortable topic. You know what I mean?
Like the back
Did you
seat
see
of a
me?
Volkswagen?
What?
That's a reoccurring gag in Mallrats.
I barely remember that movie in general. I've probably seen it like 5 times, but no, it's this time. All right. So, guys, we're going to look at something from a couple of days ago. And then after we're done with this, we're going to look at something from, I think, almost 8 years ago. So let's go ahead and take this playback speed. I'm going to ramp it up to 1.5 so that we can get through it. But, I just want to apologize ahead of time, if this triggers you. But again, it bothers me more that people that our would-be allies are saying what they're saying than it is shills saying what we know they're going to say anyway. So again, a couple of days ago, we got a review here of episode 4 of Starfleet Academy. It's the Jaden Klingon episode. Here we go. Oh,
It's not on screen.
I got to hit the share button here. Here we go. Ta-da.
Fucking kidding me with that one.
Nerderotic.com.
Now I want to watch the Drumhead. You want to watch the Drumhead instead? I see the 60th anniversary thing, and I'm just like, what a fucking waste. Well, you know what? Nothing's going to match the Doctor Who 50th anniversary, not even Star Wars. Like, Doctor Who did it best. So, yes, this is a gay den-centric. Oh, look, they do the texting Klingon, huh?
I mean, I was wondering how long it would take for them to come up with that name. You know, Gay Den versus J Den.
Yeah.
There it is.
Well,
what a stupid-looking ship.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Chancellor's address. Stardate 866.
Chancellor's address. Stardate. Oh, how dare you play the Star Trek theme, Alexander Courage. Fuck off. Oh, here it is.
The first speech.
Censored. The first thought forbidden.
Forbidden.
Us all. Oh, my God. Pause. Yeah. Oh my God. The reason I'm laughing is because it doesn't make any sense. So the sentence, okay, I got to get you the exact quote. With the first link, the chain is forged. The first speech censured. The first thought forbidden. The first freedom denied. Chains us all irrevocably. Now I'm going to tell you how it went down in this show.
You know what that's from, right?
No.
It's from TNG, the Drumhead, Picard's speech. It's one of those quiz episodes.
Okay.
Yeah.
The chain is forged. The first speech censured. The first thought forbidden. Us all irrevocably. How does that pass 21 producers, 5 editors, 2 people shooting on the screen, a director, a team of writers, QC? How does that happen? How does that fucking happen? Jesus Christ. Oh, God. When Cullen said it, I'm like, it's got to be a mistake or a mistake in editing, and they'll probably patch it and fix it, which they still could do. But holy shit, credit to Cullen for finding that. Holy fucking shit. I am what, 2 minutes into this? This is going to take a while, guys. QC doesn't exist, apparently. I think most of the QC jobs are gone. But, I mean...
Pause for a second.
I got something to say, too, but you go first.
So we're going to be outraged about the thing that you didn't even notice until somebody pointed it out to you.
Yeah, there you go. And what about this?
I really believe you're outraged.
And what about this? One of my favorite and arguably one of the best Star Trek two-parters.
You gotta share
any
this
series.
I'm not going by the way.
Let's share the tab. Hang on a minute. I wish I knew when you were echoing. I think that would be badass if they would show us that.
Yeah, I can hear my echo and then Blue.
All right.
As well.
Is it? You can't hear it now, right?
Echo. Nope.
Perfect. I'm sharing the tab instead of the window. In any event. Chain of Command, parts 1 and 2. I don't remember if it's part 1 or part 2, but Riker has a line where he says, Captain Picard, he'll have the protection of the Solanas Convention. Kind of like the Geneva Convention, you know, if they admit that he was on a mission. Well, it was a typo in the script, in the shooting script. It was the Seldonis Convention with a D. Shit like that's going to happen. Shit like that's going to happen, right? So my point is, QC doesn't exist. Apparently, you see the comment, or you can't see it because we're blocking it. One of the commenters, one of the chatters, that shit's going to happen. But is that really what we're going to go after here when it comes to criticizing these shows? Did somebody on the shooting script make a mistake? That means you don't know the lore. No, there's a lot of other stuff. And not just the lore, but also, like, you know, we'll get into the Orville later, but understanding the differences between what they did on Orville and what they did on Star Trek and what isn't different between what they did.
And, I think it's like, it can be kind of funny to point out production errors and things like that. We're like, oh, look, there's a plane going over in the sky in Braveheart. oh, airplanes weren't invented there. Where's quality control? Like, you know, and I mean, or, you know, oh, there's that Starbucks cup or whatever on Game of Thrones, and, or, you know, or the episode of, what was it? It was either Mandalorian or fucking Boba Fett, where they showed like a piece of the set or whatever, and, you know, because they panned too far or didn't cut it out right.
It was a guy in the background.
Yeah, and jeans or whatever, and it's just like, it's funny. Like, it's funny to point out, but again, like, is this like, this is an outrage? No,
Yeah.
this is not, you know, again, he didn't even notice it because he had to call out the person who did.
Right.
Like, see, that kind of detail would be like, well, they flubbed the line in Picard's speech from, when did the drumhead do it? The season 4?
Mm-hmm. I think it was season 4, yeah.
Season 4, so like from 1991?
Yeah.
Yeah, like, they didn't get the line from that. Like, you know, versus like they rewrote the entire universe to have dystopia federation. Like, which is the bigger issue?
Yeah, exactly. The burn.
Yeah.
Let's keep going here.
Normally, QC's not looking for something like that, in all fairness, but there's lots of people this has to pass by. That's kind of unbelievable, guys. All right, so if just in case you're wondering, he ends the quote with "us all irrevocably," and it doesn't make any sense because it's literally missing words. So, and then he calls out. He's all, "Has anybody heard that quote before? Does anybody?"
When they film a scene, they also do multiple takes. It literally, they could have pulled the wrong clip, and just like that one got tagged as the one to keep, and where they flubbed the line, and they may have actually redone it with the correct line, but then the wrong one was marked to keep, and it just made it past because the people editing this, like, they hear those that they see that one take that was done 14 times, or, you know, that one little clip that was done 14 takes, and their mind doesn't pick up the little subtle differences between the ones. Like, it really isn't that hard to have a mistake on this level. Like, it's stupid. Like, you should avoid it, of course. It is somewhat careless, but again, outrage, no.
And has it happened before in real Trek? Yes.
Oh, it happens in every fucking show and every fucking movie. Like, you know, there's a whole section on every IMDb page, or at least there used to be. I don't really use IMDb anymore, for like continuity errors.
Yep.
And production errors. Like,
the bigger
it's
the
like a
sample
section,
size, the more the chance.
Yeah.
Read.
Speech and debate is not for the chicken shit.
Oh, it's not for the chicken shit. They're going to center a whole episode, or this will be the B plot of the episode, around speech and debate and intelligence. This will be fun. Somebody will have to become a master debater. Yeah, this is Circle Jerk fan fiction. Gay Dan doesn't like public speaking. He's getting nervous. Is he going to faint?
What the hell happened in there? How bad was it? On a scale of what to what? I have difficulties expressing my point of view at times.
Eat feelings. Swear
Eat your feelings.
I once shared a garbage freighter with a Klingon.
What? Okay, pause. The editing is shit and jarring. So, Gay Dan grew up in a polyamorous family, a triad house. 2 fathers, 1 mom. 2 Klingons, 1 cup. Oh, we're going to get another immigration allegory, refugee allegory. Yes, because it wasn't enough to do it with the Romulans. Fuck this show, dude. They just give me endless.
Wait a minute. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the immigration allegory with the Romulans occurred in Picard, right?
Yep.
Didn't this gentleman on our screen here praise one of the seasons of Picard? Am I right or wrong?
You would be correct. He loved season 3.
But it was the right season, I guess. That's the difference, right? It was the right season.
Well, yeah, even though there's characters that were only introduced in they never existed in Star Trek until Picard seasons 1 and 2. And they're in season 3, but we're going to pretend season 1 and 2 didn't happen.
Mm-hmm. Got it. Yeah, that's how it works.
Material to make videos. The burn destroyed Kronos, the Klingon homeworld. So Romulus was destroyed in Jar Jar Trek. And in the Kelvin timeline, Vulcan was destroyed. Now Kronos is destroyed. These motherfuckers need some kind of catastrophe in every fucking thing. And the god damn it. So the Klingons are in refugee camps. We're only 10 minutes in. This is goddamn this. I'm actually impressed that as big a hack as Kurtzman, like, listen, Kathleen Kennedy sucked, but goddamn, her name is on some pretty classic shit. Russell T. Davies, sucked, but goddamn, he brought Doctor Who back and was pretty good. Kurtzman has never been good. Not ever. Not once. Nothing he has touched has ever been good. Now, he's been part of stuff like Xena and fucking Hercules where he was getting coffee, but he's never done anything good. How in the fuck does...
Now, we're just gonna like, we're like, oh, if he does something good, then we're gonna do the Kathleen Kennedy thing.
Right,
like,
right.
His only role was getting coffee.
Well, yeah, but here's the thing. He just said, didn't he just say Kathleen Kennedy was involved in some stuff that was good?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
well,
she
wasn't that when she was supposedly getting coffee too?
Yes, of course.
Okay. Because surely he doesn't mean anything post 2012, right?
Yeah, I'm just looking at Kurtzman's. I'm gonna try and let's look at his filmography here.
I don't think his former friend Doomcock jumped on the Picard season 3 bandwagon. Dude, that guy
he
jumps.
was adamantly against it.
But he jumps on whatever bandwagon he needs to
Yeah.
jump on. That's the thing. Just because somebody disagrees with someone else that we disagree with doesn't mean we agree with them. Why would someone change their viewpoint to fit a narrative? Geez, I can't. It's not possible, Tim. Like, I know, I can't imagine why.
Well, he's a writer on Mission Impossible 3.
Yeah.
Uncredited script polisher for the Watchmen movie. Yes. The Proposal, and executive producer on that. Actually, who's in that? Yeah, that's the movie I was talking about the other day with Sandra Bullock and Ryan Reynolds. That's a good movie. Sorry.
Which one?
The Proposal. Ryan Reynolds and Sandra Bullock. It's
you know my line.
What?
Never seen it.
Of course. Cowboys and Aliens. I don't remember much about that one. Obviously,
isn't Harrison Ford in that? I think Harrison Ford's in that. So Stephanie Janet.
It's directed by Jon Favreau, and has Daniel Craig, Harrison Ford, Olivia Wilde.
Oh yeah, Janet has seen it. It's got Favreau and Ford involved. Yeah, I really like that. I really like that movie, guys, and because Cowboys and Aliens could succeed means Star Wars can succeed. Star Wars. I got to do that Chicago accent.
Writer and executive on Amazing Spider-Man 2. So I wouldn't say
No, I don't disagree. I think Kurtzman sucks, but to say, oh yeah, he was just fetching coffee on Xena and Hercules or whatever the hell he said. Well, that's
just kind of like
it's what Kathy was doing on Indiana Jones.
It reminds me of like the Filoni thing too, where like, oh well, he didn't really have anything to do with that show. That that last cartoon one.
Yeah.
Like, oh, he only created it. That's all.
Yeah.
So we just hand wave off the exceptions that don't fit our, that don't support our conclusion. We're just like, that one doesn't count.
Does this guy still have a job? That's what perplexes me. The burn was some cheap attempt to wipe the slate clean. It was. He wanted to get away from canon because he didn't want to pay attention to it. So he went 1,000 years in the future, and he still connects it to canon. Ooh, the blip in the MCU. What's worse, the burn or the blip in the MCU? Yes. That's my answer is yes. Oh, this is like playing out like Predator. So the brother is trying to help Jaden.
The burn by
he's
far. And by the way, he's wrong. That's not why Kurtzman did it. Like his assessment there is like it's more sinister than what he's saying there. He's just like, well, he just didn't want to. He was too lazy to have to deal with canon. No, I think it's more like they literally wanted to make Star Trek a dystopia that they could put back together and pat themselves on the back for being heroes. Because they could have gone into the future and avoided canon and not made a dystopia.
Yeah, good point.
So in this case, I think he's giving Kurtzman too much credit there.
Yeah.
Like down with his bird watching.
Your mind is hungry, Jaden. We should feed it.
So they want to discuss it in the classroom because apparently there's conspiracy theories that the Klingons blew themselves up. Why does I Like Birds remind me of I Love Lamp? Because they're both retarded. There's been a tragedy. Don't compound it with ignorance and misinformation. So the Starfleet found a new planet for the Klingons and they don't want to take it because of pride. Oh my God, she is so up her own ass. So Admiral Vance is like, I've been reading your files because Holly Hunter's like, how do you know so much about me? He's all, I've been reading your files, so much more dramatic and longer than War and Peace. And she's like, yeah, I know. I'm so great.
He's the best debater we got.
Master debater.
Yeah, because, Admiral Nechayev never existed in TNG, right?
Mm.
So these
like the
sassy
admirals and
women
shit
in Trek
in Star
are
Trek lore
brand
have
new.
all been kind of sleazy assholes. Like they've all all the Commodores in like the original series were assholes.
I like that comparison more than I do Orville, Darth Draconius. I can tell you that much.
Oh, they used Master Debater. I knew they would. His brother's dying. Oh my God, this is directed like a retard. Like I can't even say fanfic. That would be insulting. Jaden's brother dies because he refused Federation technology, which probably would have saved him. Oh, and a father yells, "Ah, my son!" It's what?
Yeah, but that's the Klingon death chant, right? I heard they did that in this
He's got to
episode.
fill his watch party thing with performance, dude. So like he's
That guy playing a
Yeah, you're
Klingon,
right.
and he's white.
Wait, surely
So
he's
this is-
kidding around, right?
This is just filler.
Says the Klingon who sings.
Yeah, pretty white in 1, 3, 5, and 6. Yeah, but Christopher Lloyd looks more Klingon than this guy does. So they'd rather all die.
No, we could go back and look at some DS9 Klingons, and they look completely Caucasian. Maybe not so much the TOS ones, but come on, dude.
Oh, look at they're throwing glasses at the fire because they're drunk. Oh, they had a romance. He's got 2 dicks. He won't kill a bird. So we're in a flashback where Gay Den is with one of his dads. I want to hear what he really sounds like. I would not hit you. It would be like squashing an insect and stuff. Oh, they're going to make out? Jesus fuck. He's teaching him how to speak publicly by holding his hands. No, holding his back too. This is for shippers. It's also to show patriarchal male pride. Oh, here comes the doctor, Robert DiCardo. Aaron Satie bait competition. Get fucked.
Klingon
Kurtzman.
pride is a thing in Star Trek. You're opposed to that now?
No, Klingon Pride, the month of June, I think is what
No,
it
I don't
means.
think that's where he's going. He's the actual pride, not like gay pride. But whatever, maybe. We'll give
Correct.
him the benefit of the doubt.
Okay. Sham is debating and she talks like that.
Yeah, and it's Robert DiCardo, didn't you know?
Yeah.
A hologram who is basically a walking computer. You're not going to debate against that, even if it is a mush mouth, fat hologram that breathes and needs to go to gym class. And for some reason, they need Stephen Colbert to announce and introduce the cadets, even though the doctor is there introducing the cadets. He's finding his chi. I hope Paul Giamatti comes in and kills everybody with origami chickens. This is so fucking dumb. This is so fucking dumb. God damn. They somehow made this about identity. Okay. So that's what this whole debate is they're trying to twist it into who we are, who we believe to be. There's a debate to be had here.
What's wrong with his nose?
I believe the issue is that it's attached to somebody who's still alive.
But it's focused on fucking identity. Is he helping him find his feelings and find his true self? Oh, is the half Jem'Hadar, half Klingon going to teach the full blood Klingon how to Klingon?
I didn't want to F it up.
F it up.
Can I pause here for a second? I'm a culture warrior, sure, right? But like Star Trek, when it comes to the races of Star Trek, has been about identity a lot. Like the whole who Klingons are, who Romulans are, who Ferengi are, who Vulcans are. Like did Spock talk about his identity as a Vulcan? Like I think he did. Like
That was
this is pretty
Worf's entire character all through
Yeah.
TNG.
it's Data, the fact that he's an android, not a human. Like this isn't like it. I know that this show is woke, okay, but not everything it does is built around that. Some of it does have some roots in Star Trek. And the idea is to be like, we're going to focus on a character's identity or their racial traits. Be like, well, yeah, that happens a lot in Star Trek. That's pretty standard. That happens a lot in science fiction when you have different races. You have to introduce them and like describe and kind of build out the like what makes them different, what makes them the same, what are their values as a culture versus what our values are as the human culture. Like it's a pretty basic storytelling, especially in science fiction thing.
Well, what's woke about the show? Just the content itself, you could look at that and call stuff out, but just the concept of the show, the execution of the casting, when you look at that stupid, what did you call it? The AIDS medicine commercial image that they had before the show came out. And that was spot on. We got to get that commercial going, maybe using some AI and some AI music and stuff. But here's the point. When you look at that, is that really representative of society, right? Okay, let's get every race, sex, and combination in there. Oh, we got a white male, but it's not really a human or whatever. It's like, let's purposefully remove the majority of American society, right? Because at the end of the day, Star Trek is an American institution. You could say, yeah, it's an internationally loved franchise and stuff, but it's an American institution. We talked about this, I think, on the last Off the Treks.
Yeah, in the last one, the future.
It was based
Star
around
Trek
Western culture.
is based around the West basically winning and unifying Earth under Western culture.
Yeah, so the
Western
point is,
values.
let's throw in every race. Let's make sure we get 2 blacks in there just to, stick it to these right-wingers, these white males that may like Star Trek, and show them that it's always been woke. That's what's woke about it more than anything, not necessarily what's going on with characters. And yeah, I'd say this weird homoerotic moment that happens between him and that guy. I read about it, didn't see it. I'm like, yeah, that was.
Well, I mean, and the fact that they
forced
just
in there.
emasculated the entire Klingons by making them groveling refugees. Yeah, I mean, like,
Yes.
that's pretty pathetic. Because like the Klingons were basically the alpha male race of Star Trek, right?
Yeah, and they
Aggressive.
already did that anyway, and or they kind of averted it in Star Trek 6. Remember, they'll become what's his name?
The alien trash of the galaxy.
Yeah, Brock Peters as Admiral. Was it Cartwright? Like they'll become the alien trash of the galaxy. Like we averted that in that movie, but it could have happened, right? But it didn't happen, and maybe he was just being a racist, like he was in the movie, and that never would have happened. They probably all would have committed suicide or something.
Yeah, see, but in that movie, like when I hear that line in that movie, I think of like the alien trash of the galaxy. They would have been more like the Orions, not some groveling, begging refugees. Do you know what I mean?
And that actually did
because
happen.
the Klingons that we know would rather die than be the groveling fucking refugee class.
Yeah, but
they
Greg,
would go
it
out
did
fighting.
happen. Because first season of TNG, remember the renegades that they come across?
Yeah.
The ones that Worf meets and they do the death chant and all that.
Yeah,
Those guys they were renegades that would not accept peace with the Federation.
Yeah.
So
not even like a peace deal in which like the basically just an agreement not to like be at each other's throats, but each independently have their they didn't surrender to the Federation in any way. They kept their territory. It was all, it was just like, hey, let's just stop fighting kind of peace. It wasn't even like a super hippie kind of peace. And there was still a large part of the Klingon contingent that was like, that's not acceptable.
yes.
But, and like Gary does have a good point here, with the, a valid point with the whole, like, we're going to blow up Kronos now too. Like we did how many like homeworlds of the enemy factions in Star Trek are just going to blow up.
Yeah, see, that's
dumb.
a valid criticism. That's
dumb.
That's highlighting the lack of creativity people like Kurtzman and whoever's running this fucking show have.
It's just basically we're gonna do the same thing we did with, and basically what they're trying to do is like they're trying to create the impetus for the to move the plot through some. They're trying to copy paste Star Trek 6. The whole motivating event of Star Trek 6 is the explosion of Praxis. It puts the Klingons in a bad spot politically and financially and economically. And, a person like Spock comes along and be like, well, this might be an advantage here to us to negotiate something out here because they can't really afford to keep going at us. And we don't want them to go the die trying route. I mean, it's a line in the movie where he's like,
Yes.
there's a large, because, Kirk is kind of like Kirk is like, let them die. And he's like,
let them die.
Yes. They're dying. Let them die.
Well, fantastic point from Gary here. Everyone, just put your hands together.
And I think the larger point I'm going to make is like, there's stuff to criticize in this thing that you don't have to reach to fill your whole vamping for your watch along here. Like
right.
To this other stuff, like the oh, they're talking about their identities. Well, they do that in Star Trek all the time, man. And here's the thing, like that's an easy one that the other side is going to swat away.
Yeah,
because I did with barely, like I immediately was like, well, wait a minute, that's kind of like all of Star Trek, to some degree.
Yeah.
Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
Mother fathers. They bailed on him. They fucking bailed on him. Wait, you're going to tell me the two black dads bailed their kid?
I thought they weren't black enough before.
No, that guy was like the current Klingon High Council leader.
Oh.
No. They abandoned their son.
See, this is performance. This is fucking bullshit.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
I am offended. They both went out to get some menthols and they didn't come back. He's crying. Gaden's crying. Crying Klingons. We got crying. He's going to go debate his ass off after Laura Thok, the half Jem'Hadar, half Klingon, mentored him.
I tell you, Captain, she didn't shed one bloody tear.
Man,
remember that line?
Hardly conclusive since Klingons have no tear ducts.
Yeah.
There's no male mentor.
A couple times. So, like, how many episodes is in this season?
I have no fucking clue, and I'm happy I don't know.
Star Trek, Starfleet Academy. Type today. Thank you, Google, for auto-completing that. Season 1 consists of 10 episodes. So this is episode 4, right? So how many views did this get?
Did what get?
Like, so like, cause I want to, cause we've seen this before where like they're reviewing stuff and then like it doesn't get
150.
150,000.
Yes.
Okay. It's enough to keep going, but like, so what are the odds that he'll be doing these streams or these videos by episode 10? Because I'm guessing that most people are going to be like, I don't care about the show, like way before they get to the episode 10, and he'll just drop it like he dropped the other Star Trek shows. Like, maybe he can go back to like reviewing Strange New Worlds. Oh, he hasn't done that one at all.
Oh, is that correct? He hasn't?
Pretty sure. Like, at all.
See, and that one is ripe ground, right? To point out
that one's terrible.
Lore inconsistencies, bad castings,
character assassinations.
I love the term character assassinations. Yes, love it. All right. We've got about, I don't know, a couple more minutes of this at the speed we're watching.
In this, I am a Klingon warrior of inclusivity, and diversity, and empathy. This is really trying to mix in some heady stuff that they are not capable of. So the Klingons are too prideful to join the Federation. I have seen nothing of this. We've just seen Gay Den and Holly Hunter's ex-boyfriend in a drunken scene, but we've seen no other really Klingons other than the flashbacks negotiating. So we don't really know the feel of it. This is like shitty storytelling. There should be like a delegation or something. A couple of short scenes with the delegation. And what is their solution? He's coming up with a Klingon solution to the problem. Just picture this dialogue in the original series. Mr. Spock, you won't make it. Please, I'm a Vulcan, bitch. Oh, wait a minute. And so they're doing a mock fight. This is utterly retarded. To preserve their pride, they're willing to draw all the resources of the Federation, which is just trying to build up. Oh, how dare you play fucking Jerry Goldsmith's fucking Klingon thing, you pieces of shit. So they're doing a LARPing battle. Yes.
Boss.
Oh.
You love the theme music in season 3.
Oh, really?
Of Picard. Yeah, sure. Of course you did.
Man, that Picard season 3, like, as much as we've talked about it versus anyone else, I don't think it's been mined enough, this love affair, which, quite honestly, is a phony love affair. Because if you look at it one way, if they truly do love it, right, then they're fake fans because it's connected to all the other stuff that's bad. If they don't love it and they're saying they love it, then they're disingenuous. So either way, I don't like it. I don't like what you're saying about season 3 of Picard. So
why did Holly Hunter just say Kapla? Oh, and they are so proud of themselves, like, this was a hell of a solution. This is our own personal Kobayashi Maru that we figured out. And the battle lasted like 5 seconds. So they beat him in the LARPing competition so they could see the planet as spoils of war. And now they're all saved. Their pride is intact, and the insufferably smug Starfleet's like, well, this little stupid Klingon empire, the polyamorous parents are safe. The ones that abandoned him. Now Gay Dan is...
One thing I do think is stupid is, why do all these Klingons seem to have like dreadlocks or braids? Like, I don't remember them ever having those in real Trek at all.
Is with Caleb Mir, and they're eating the warrior stew that he can eat now.
Gay.
Which one?
Like the original first one before he got the long ponytail.
Yeah, it was kind of like a parted in the middle type thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he won a battle.
Alexander's was a little cut.
I can't believe there's 2 seasons of this shit. There's 6 more episodes. Identity. About identity and pride and smug Starfleet and polyamorous Klingon family. You gotta be fucking kidding me. Gotta be fucking kidding me with that.
Dude, this is like feeding directly into what we're gonna watch in a minute. So just
I know I'm
two dads abandoned him.
Bursting at the seams because I know we haven't discussed this like beforehand, but I know exactly where you're fucking going.
Yep. And here's the thing, guys, in the chat and Greg here on the stream. I was really busy this weekend, and I didn't start working on this stream until about an hour and 45 minutes until we started. And I'm like, that's the story. That has to be the story of the stream.
I didn't even know we were doing Off the Treks tonight. I didn't know if it was
Me neither.
If it was going to be the political show or this one.
Someone in one of the chats said you guys have to do more of it because no one is really talking about what should be talked about when it comes to this new show. And I'm like, okay, we can do that because we're equipped to do that.
Was chef's kiss. But getting that quote from the drumhead wrong is pretty bad. Is pretty fucking bad.
Nerderotic.com. Please subscribe.
No, I don't think I will. All right, so let's back this up. December 30th, 2018. And I have this time stamped. And I never knew this. I got to stop sharing this so that I can share the other tab. I never knew this because I didn't come around until late spring of 2020. But he used to review stuff with a chick. Do you remember that? And it wasn't your favorite Lady Gravemaster either.
I don't remember. But I assume you're going to show it. I'll probably
Yeah.
remember it when I see it, but
Oh, look at that. Look at that. The YouTube side went from like 17 viewers to 10 viewers. Fuck you. We tell the truth here. All right. Here we go. Let me know if you can hear this. The audio should be on.
Tyson, a science consultant on the Orville.
You see that?
Mhm.
Hear that?
Yes, I hear it.
Yes? Okay.
Yes.
So I have
I
this
think he
timestamped.
was for season 1. I'm not sure for season 2, but that is a good point.
I know he's with Seth for Cosmos, but I didn't see his name in the
I heard that. Yeah, I heard that.
Well, he's got his own issues now, so
Yeah, maybe he's a little busy right now. One review of the Orville that I had felt the show was too loquacious primate. One review of the Orville that I read felt the show was too optimistic and that the science fiction aspect were out of touch with cultural attitudes.
Oh,
What?
You know, yeah, I mean,
this
the
person have a
original
name?
Star Trek was
What's that?
Person have a name?
Yeah,
I don't
it's like
recognize the voice.
Susan or something like that.
optimistic. It was built on optimism. It was built on wanting to find the good in everything and the good in everyone. And, you know, that critic, I guess, wants to infiltrate everything with messages and hit everybody over the head with it. It's unnecessary. You know, if you have
So you're telling me that Orville, and this is a review of season 2, episode 1, Jaloja, the one with the long piss, right? So you're telling me after getting through
takes a piss episode as I
so you're telling me after getting through all of season 1 that there was no messaging in season 1 of Orville? Is that what you're telling me? Okay. Again, I don't know what the motivation here was with Orville. Were there some kind of payoffs going on? Access. It had to be the Access, because what was the name of that channel that did the Orville
Orville
stuff?
Nation.
Yeah, and you know, they gave us some shout outs. Hey, thanks a lot. But if you're ever trying to say Orville's good, New Trek not, then you're not being consistent.
Here's the thing, like Orville would have not been on my radar because I'm not a big Seth MacFarlane person.
Oh
like,
no, I can't stand his humor or anything.
I'm just not a big fan. Like I wouldn't say I hate the guy, but like I've just never been I've never been a Family Guy guy. And his stuff just becomes repetitive. Like, you know, the Ted was funny. I'll give him that, I guess. But like it wouldn't have been on my radar to watch if not for these YouTubers like constantly praising like the Orville as like, oh, this is real Star Trek. And it was like it was Gary and it was Doomcock and Orville Nation. And then it's like I don't know if it was the cause, but like eventually like I think they got access to like the set at some point.
Yeah. Gotcha. Okay.
And
I know
so they had like and they had producers or some sort of like showrunners or people associated with the show were on the Orville Nation channel.
Well, shit, they had Surik Lofton on there a few times.
Yeah.
So
access.
Yeah.
a good story, if you have a good story and it goes through all the beats, you might have a message in there, but people won't know it's a message because they'll be like, wow, this is a really good story. And
the pacing. I think Mandalorian has good pacing.
they'll focus on that instead of, oh God, here comes another message. We're getting hit over the head again, like Doctor Who every 10 minutes.
Yep. And the people delivering these messages, I mean, you got to look behind that too. So, you know, so there's some people I'm willing to listen to if they have a lot of.
So yeah, you're willing to listen to Alex Kurtzman when it's season 3 of Picard, though, right?
Oh no, we play the game where he had nothing to do with that one. That was
Yeah. Man, he seems like he's like tired or really fucked up during this stream from 2018.
Experience stuff, it's all a matter of respect. But if it's 21-year-old playwrights, Doctor Who. Not enough feeling in hallways, CBS critic. Silhouetted anime.
No.
I need more feelings in hallways. Feelings in hallways and unnecessary secret keeping. Unnecessary secret keeping.
That's the Discovery rips right there. Okay.
Yeah, but that didn't happen in Orville. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Golly. Like, this is cognitive dissonance or 100% dishonesty, intellectual dishonesty. Take your pick. Neither one is better than the other. Jeez. I can't watch any more of this, but the point we're making here, chat, is people's opinions have evolved. And what does that mean? It means somebody shifted the grift, right? The hashtag shift the grift. And it's disgusting. At least when you come here, and it's never changed here, right? You know you're coming here for the absolute truth. Oh, you don't know the truth. Well, the truth I'm putting forth is what I've researched. It's stuff that I'm not saying unless I'm absolute sure of it. There's no such thing as your truth or my truth. There's the truth. And what I put forth is because I know I'm right. You can't both say that, hey, Picard season 3 is good. It's by Alex Kurtzman. Alex Kurtzman has never done anything good.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. And then say, oh, but this is good. You just can't do that. It leaves an open question. Why are you saying this? Oh, it had throwbacks and member berries, yet on other live streams and other reviews you do, you clown on member berries.
Yeah, you mock that as like a
yeah, you're
thing.
digging
Like
the hole deeper when you make excuses. Yeah. Shit.
Well, and I think like there's three pivotal things in this whole YouTube adventure that were very big eye openers for me. You're like three shows, three things or products that really kind of opened my eyes. Mandalorian,
Mando,
Picard season 3, and then I'll tell you, like, Orville really bothered me a lot because I'm just like, how are you saying this show isn't like this show has all the things that like you complain about and everything else. Like it has all like every
the recipe
Bordas,
is complete.
Every single Bordas episode, and there were a lot of them, were like was gay message, trans message, like it was women empowerment stuff, and like the fucking the captain character is a cuckold.
And it wasn't just kind of like, it's kind of in there. It was like Anvilicious.
Yeah, it was like, hey, we're gonna have a holodeck, and we're gonna have Bordas getting fucking serviced by a bunch of like other dudes.
Ching!
Like there was not like a like we're gonna allude to it. We're gonna kind of like we're gonna like oh they're gonna hug, and then we're gonna fade to the camera, and then we'll have them next morning.
Dude,
shot.
And I hate to read too much. I hate to read too far into it, Greg. But even those a couple of episodes, really one episode where the black guy goes from like helmsman to engineer. It's like, man, I could do that job. I could do that. I could be the chief engineer. I could do that job. DEI, homie. Like that was kind of in your face as well. Whereas on TNG, it's like, hey, starting this season, Geordie LaForge is our new chief engineer. It wasn't like this big ordeal. They kept having this rotating cast of weird people we don't even know is the chief engineer. It's like, hey, Geordie's just kind of sitting there like as helmsman. Let's make him the chief engineer, and it made sense.
Like, well, he's got this visor thing. Like that would be kind of like a useful tool actually for an engineer.
Yeah.
Like we could see that we could see that work and everything. Like, but like you have the Orville, and it's like it's at its core, like, so you have the captain of the ship, the James Kirk, the Janeway, the Benjamin Sisko of the show, the Jonathan Archer of the show. is an incompetent, clownish, underperforming boob who's also a cuckold who only gets the job because the woman who cucked him pitied him. That's the basis of the show.
Yep. Oh, I hated those episodes with what's his name? What's the actor's name?
Rob Lowe.
Oh yeah, hated those episodes.
Man, what's her name was damn hot though. Halston Sage though.
Yeah, but so was the first officer.
Yeah, she's hot too, but she was but see, Halston Sage character was not
Chad, is there
cuckolding
Orville
cunt.
porn?
She wasn't a cuckolding cunt.
Yeah, you're right.
Like,
you're right.
Who like decided that she was going to be the lawyer representing like the genetic mutant woman in an all male society that on board is his planet. Like you see, like this Orville. Like I think Orville's more woke than Discovery. I gotta be honest with you. Like when you break it down and you really look at the episodes and the premise of the show and everything, like it's worse than Discovery on the woke scale.
I don't disagree with you.
And we watched, like I tried to give it a fair shot. I went in enthusiastic, but you know, and there were episodes I did like. You know, the Twitter one I thought was a good episode.
Majority Rule.
Yeah, Majority Rule.
That's like the only good episode. I think.
It's a really only good one. There was a number of other episodes that were like, that one was okay.
And they did too much. They tried to do too much, like the Borg with what's a robot guy's name?
Oh, I don't remember that character's name now, but yeah.
Yeah, they tried to. It was way too much like the Borg. Here they come with all these ships, and we're gonna have space battles, and yeah, what the fuck ever.
Yeah, and I mean, even the production quality, like, you know, you could see the episodes and where they spent the money on and where they did it quick. I mean, it was inconsistent. The show, from a production standpoint, was pre-COVID was extraordinarily inconsistent. Like, there was a massive gap between seasons where it was like, is this even going to continue? Is it not going to continue? Like, we don't even know. I mean, there were a lot of problems with that show. And I just...
Yeah.
From you know, if you're gonna be like the we're gonna rip on Star Trek for being so woke, but the Orville's great. Like you don't have a leg to stand on. I'm sorry, you don't. You're not credible. But yeah, those are the three moments for me that like the three shows. Like the Mandalorian 2 was an eye opener because like that was like the Star Trek and Orville one. I was like that bothered me on a substance level, but like the scale wasn't nearly as bad as Mando.
But
Mando
not like
takes
a
the cake
Gary
as far as
substance
scale.
level.
Yeah, no, not a mind altering substance level.
No,
but
you're
the scale of the
exactly right.
Mandalorian, you know, betrayal, I think, of the people that were just like just couldn't wait to suck the Star Trek dick or Star Wars dick again. And it was just like, this is what you're going to champion? This? Like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And since those kind of like moments, and Picard season 3 was just like the icing on the cake. Yes, because that came much later than the other two. But like, yeah, I'm out. Like, we're not fighting. Like, I'm sorry, we're not fighting the same culture war. And I don't even know if you're an ally at this point.
No, we're in the war and they are not. That's what's up. I want to show you guys something really quick before we get into this final real fan topic. But look at this right here. So this, I've been hovering around this for like, 8 or 9 months. So since we started the stream, lost one subscriber. Went from 2760 to 2755.
We lost Orville Nation.
59. Yeah, exactly. That's not a coincidence. I mean, it happened because of what we're talking about, like period, point blank. But here's
there
what
are
I
a
have
lot
to
of
say
people
about
in
that.
this space that
Fuck you. You can't handle the truth. Kiss my
You
fucking
can't handle
ass.
the truth.
That's what I
Did
have
you
to
order the code red? Yeah, I wouldn't do this if it was like I felt that I had to, like, tiptoe around the bigger YouTubes, or watch who I'm going after because of the clout factor. Like, oh,
Did you see the spacing the other night when I'm covering that WDW Con video that was a clip of a live stream?
I watched the spacing last week. I don't remember that part because I was.
Oh man,
I
all
listened
those
to part of
guys
it and
on
then I
there.
watched.
All those guys on there except that weird old man were doing that. It was just like everyone is like, "Oh yeah, what do I say here to agree with WDW Con?" Right? It's like, gosh, it's just so pathetic and undignifying to watch those guys.
I'm just, well, one, like I was never going to be a big YouTuber anyway, so like I'm not risking anything by taking the stand I have. So like, because that wasn't going to happen anyway, because I don't have the mindset or the patience or the desire to do it. But that being said, like I wouldn't even do this show if I was like, well, we can't approach this
Well,
we're not going to do this. We're not going to do this one, or we're not going to go out.
I got to tell you about our latest idea whenever we end the stream, for sure.
Okay.
All right. So I want to look at this, guys. This is I think this is like I don't know, edition 2 of the original. This is after, I don't even think this is after. I think this was developed during production of Star Trek 3. Because the first one was whenever that John M. Ford that wrote the novel, The Final Reflection I showed earlier. Then he wrote the FOSSA role-playing game supplement, and it didn't have this artwork. Obviously, it was like original artwork of TOS Klingons. Well, this is a follow-up, a new edition that expands upon the original. I don't think he was involved in this version, but it does say here, based on original material by John M. Ford. So again, this is before TNG, right? They didn't know anything about the Klingons other than what you saw on screen in the animated series, the original series. And then, of course, in TMP, there's a scene with Mark Lennard, who played Sarek. He's the Klingon commander. And what does that show? They fly right into it and they get destroyed. So this honestly built a lot of what they used for TNG. And the people who developed TNG would never admit it. In fact, they had the FOSSA role-playing game killed during the first season of TNG. I have one of the source books from TNG. I think it's like the first year source book. And they're like, yeah, we don't like what you guys are doing with this. You're making Star Trek more warlike, and we don't want it to be that way. Well, yeah, you guys liked it from 79, 80 up until they canceled it. In fact, they had an entire spin-off, Starfleet Battles. It was more like a space battle game than it was a role-playing game, all based on combat and stuff, right? So I found the letter, I think in my canon documentary from Starlog, where someone was bitching about that stuff to Paramount for killing the game because a lot of people were into it. But this really expanded the lore of Klingons. It made them more honorable. Like, look at this, Klingons versus Romulans. Of course, the Klingons have other adversaries besides the UFP. There's plenty of excitement to be had along the Romulan Klingon borders at any time, from reference stardate, blah, 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 long before the Terrans, that's Earthlings, had left their home system, right through the events of Star Trek 4. Indeed, the game master can run the entire campaigns where humans never enter into the game at all. So, you could be fighting, Romulans, but there was this alliance during TOS. That's why the Romulans are using a Klingon warship in the episode with the cloaking device, because there was like a technology exchange in real life. It's because that's the ship that they use for the special effects.
Yeah.
But yeah, they put that into some of the lore. I think they even made a few brief mentions of it in TNG. So they talk about the quadrants, the alpha quadrant, the beta quadrant. That really went untouched other than like in lines of dialogue, and no one ever knew what the hell it meant until DS9. It's like, oh, okay, so you got the alpha, beta, and then no one really knows anything about the delta and the gamma, right? Because the Federation was in the southern portion of the galaxy, kind of like a little bit into the beta side. That's where the Romulans and Klingons were. So they talk about this stuff. There's a map there. I can't turn this sideways, unfortunately. See, they have delta here, but obviously that's incorrect because it should be alpha here, beta here, gamma here, and then delta here. So again, this was a gaming mechanics thing. Defense complexes. The Empire has constructed 10 major defense complexes to act as supply bases, manufacturing centers, and major headquarters stations. So they're already expanding, what is the real size of the Klingon Empire. Noteworthy planets, Delta, Kinath 2, Celta, Avastam. So the names sound like rightfully Klingon. Vilium 3, Kanaga, Kakar, Philotok 5, Mastokal, Kostner, Cascal. They got some pictures from fucking somewhere for that shit. Klingon history. Unlike Romulans, humans, and Vulcans and others, the Klingon race was not created by an ancient and vanished race known as the Preservers. So that was mentioned in TOS, right? The Preservers were, but then they didn't call them Preservers in that one episode of TNG, but the chick that played the female changeling played the ancient humanoid, whatever. She was kind of meant to be a preserver.
Yeah, I mean, like Star Trek's kind of played around with like that concept, the Iconians and like some like extinct old ancient, master civilization kind of like fantasy or lore thing. But they really didn't like. I don't think they really fleshed out it. Like there's certain things like Star Trek has fleshed out a lot of stuff and built a lot of stuff up over the years, but some stuff is like, it's better not to go into the details because then it stops working so well.
Well, there had to be an explanation why all these races look human. There was like a bump on their head or something.
Right. Like what's the difference between all these races? It's like, well, a couple bones in the face, like different. Mm-hmm. Slightly different, you got the crinkle nose bastards, you got the crab heads and different ears and things like that, because like the reality is it's a show made by human beings on planet Earth, and like they don't have aliens as actors. Mm-hmm. And so they a lot of these shows that start off the way like Star Trek started off and kind of fill in things as they go, that's how it's done. Be like, some things are done for practical reasons, and then somebody goes, well, how come that? And then they go, well, we gotta come up with a reason for why we did that. Like, we know the production reason why we did that. That's right. It's economics, time, whatever. Technology restraints. There's a number of or TV censors, like whatever the reason. Like, we know why we really did it this way, but like now we got to try and come up with a plausible excuse for us in universe doing it this way. It doesn't kind of, wreck the kayfabe.
Howdy. Yeah, kayfabe, great term. But let's see where they were going with that. According to Federation theories, this ancient race seeded pre-human beings on many planets throughout this part of the Milky Way galaxy, using genetic tailoring the preservers altered the physiology of each seed race to suit the conditions of the planet that would become its home. Though humanity undeniably developed on Earth, the Vulcans and Romulans, who were an offshoot of the Vulcan race, may have come from the same ancestry as modern humans, with their copper-based blood chemistry a result of radical genetic alteration. The Romulans consider their connection to the preservers, who they know as the Great Brothers, to be an established fact. To the Vulcans and humans, it is an interesting and compelling theory, backed up by much evidence gathered on many worlds. Though Klingon archaeologists have discovered preserver race ruins on their home planet, Klingons do not believe in the non-Klinsai origins, and that's the name for themselves, of their race. In this, they are correct. Klingons have been known, however, to claim otherwise to gain access to preserver technology in the hands of humans and others. The Klingon race evolved from primate-like bipeds native to Klinsai's jungles. That's, I guess, kind of like Kronos, what they called it back then, without help from the preservers. It is likely that the preservers knew of the existence of the sub-intelligent species that evolved as the Klingons. However, indeed, the preservers may have copied some of what they saw developing on Klinsai, which might explain the resemblance of humans and other humanoid bipeds to Klingons. In Star Trek's time, no one is sure or will ever be sure. Why not just make them part of it? That's like overcomplicating it when you guys wrote this. You know what I mean? It's just like, make it that way. And here's what's interesting. As yet, there was only a military council and no single emperor. So that follows on, right? With TNG, there's no emperor, even though it's an empire, because there's that episode where they find that clone of Kalis, right? And they make him like a, what do you call it? Like a figurehead emperor in that one episode. So a lot of what they got, a lot of what they used in TNG came, I think, from this FASA role-playing lore. I mean, it's all the bones are here. That whole thing with the preservers, that was like the entire plot of that episode of TNG. I kind of like that episode. I think it's called The Chase.
Mm.
And then all of them are like, you know, Cardassian and Klingon, like, oh, it makes me sick to think I'm related to you at all. But then, you know, the more intelligent races, the humans and the Romulans, are like, yeah, you know, maybe this is true. So, and not only that, but how did Amanda and Sarek produce a child?
Right.
Unless they're somehow related as the same species.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, and see, that's, you get there like, well, how did the half-breeds even happen? And, you know, like Star Trek Enterprise tried to explain it. You know, where they're like, well, it doesn't, like, you know, humans and Vulcans aren't naturally compatible reproductively. There was extra work involved.
Uh-huh.
And it's like, well,
sure.
Okay. Well, because you think about it, like, well, you know, like, why, how would, like, just the blood type thing even work?
Right. Well, they mentioned Kalis here because, you know, when Kalis was first mentioned in Star Trek, right?
No.
The episode with Abraham Lincoln on TOS.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's one of the ones they conjure up. It's Surak, Vulcan, Kalis, Abraham Lincoln, and fucking someone else. So, yeah. So it looks like he was in battle with the Romulans. So their battles go back, you know, to ancient times because they were spacefaring 1,000 years before humans were. So this is like, you know, the entire freaking history here. And is it adapted to TNG, DS9, and beyond piecemeal? No, it isn't. It's they picked what they wanted to. The Organian conflict. This is the Errand of Mercy episode we mentioned earlier. It's just, I love this FOSSA stuff. Look at this, a timeline of what happened. Original artwork. Where are the ships at? There's David. Surface of Klinsai. And again, this is like, Kronos as we know it now.
Yeah.
Interstellar relations. The 4 Years' War. This is basically the war that I think is told in the book I showed earlier. And that they tried to adapt in Discovery with these weird orc Klingons. Like, what a shit show. And what was the name of that fan film that Paramount put a cease and desist on? They were going to try and properly adapt all that era. I can't think of what it was called, but it looked pretty good, and they had some of the original Star Trek actors in it.
You lost me at fan film.
Well, this isn't like, it's this and that. I know. It looked pretty damn good. I saw some of the early releases they had on it. Let's see, Gorn and Tholian assembly relations. Though the Klingons know about them, they have not directly encountered them. There's an Orion slave girl. Oh yeah, and then the Kinshaya. So this is a really interesting race. This is kind of what gave the Klingons kind of like a face turn in the books and stuff. They actually came back in the late 2000s in the novels during the TNG DS9 era, because all the villain races formed their own federation, like the Breen, the Gorn, the bad guy Cardassians, the bad guy Romulans, because they kind of split up as races, and whoever else. So the Kinshaya were like these religious fanatics, and the Klingons were never able to conquer them or whatever. So they're just like these religious fanatics that won't give up when they fight. So they're perfect contenders for Klingons. So I forgot about the Kinshaya, but they brought them back. I think the name of the anti-federation was like the Typhon Pact or something like that. So it's cool that they brought them back into continuity. I read a couple of those books. I read one where Bashir and Ezri team up and they're undercover in a Breen uniforms trying to infiltrate. And then I read a Riker book where they found a planet that had warp capability, right? But they never used it for space flight. They used it for like power and stuff. And they're like, oh, would it be a violation of the prime directive to make contact with them? And they had to, because the Gorn was going to. It was kind of a dumb book. The one with Ezri and Bashir wasn't too bad. I think it was called Zero Sum Game. Now, this is where they talk about the difference in appearance. Genetic engineering, Imperial Klingons are the ones with the ridges. The other ones are not. And the story here is they made them that way so they could better infiltrate humans, which makes sense, because remember the trouble with tribbles, that one guy looks just like a human. He's shaved off his Mexican mustache or whatever, and he's kind of undercover.
Took out the hair, the grease in the hair, and then
the grease in the hair. Yeah, the Star Trek Legion of Doom. Yeah.
I think that's another one where it's like, I think Star Trek Online tried to like come up with like a canon reason for like the difference in appearance.
So did Enterprise.
Or was it Enterprise too? Like of the difference, like it was some sort of time travel genetic virus or some bullshit. And it's like, just don't. Like, you don't have to explain it. Just pretend they look
that's
different. Like,
that's what they kind of did on DS9 on the Tribble episode.
Right.
Worf is like, they are Klingons and we don't speak about it. So,
well, just like, just don't, like, that's a little too meta for me, but like for my taste, but like you don't have to explain. Like you just understand.
Yeah,
Like,
but it was a comedy episode, man.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I get it. Like at least they weren't singing, right? I think like that's one of those situations where just like we all know the reason. Like it was a production thing. It was a time thing. It was an era thing. Like, and they just didn't put that much into it. And then later they decided to kind of go back and retcon it. Like, and look, I know that like there's some people out there who want to pretend like canon is the end all be all, except for when it isn't. Like some canon changes aren't bad. Like, and that was one of them. Like changing them in their appearance to be less mirror universe looking was a good decision and a fine change. You don't have to go back and redo those episodes or come up with some convoluted dumb reason for it, because that just makes the canon worse.
Well, dude, like
acknowledge the continuity error and just live with it rather than like make a whole bunch more worse canon.
Dude, even like the encyclopedia by the Okudas. By the way, like Michael Okuda, what a TDS piece of shit he is on social media.
Whew.
But no shit. But the encyclopedia, they even said in there that, hey, basically they've always looked that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just, on the screen, we don't see that. So check this page out.
Like you don't have to explain everything.
Yeah. The Klingon personality, though the dominant Klingon personality trait is the desire for personal status, their culture does not see this as simplistic or selfish any more than humans consider the desire to succeed at one's life goals to be selfish or naive. Advancing his personal status is the best way, if not the only way, for a Klingon to achieve the status of his line and of the Empire as a whole, because every Klingon learns from early childhood on that it is his destiny to lead. It is as natural for him to seek glory and personal power as it is for a human to breathe. A corollary of this drive for status is an ingrained, almost racial disdain for self-sacrifice. That is not to say that Klingons never sacrifice personal comfort or safety for a common goal. Indeed, when there is the possibility of increased status for empire or line, a Klingon will do anything he must. Indeed, if dying is the only way a Klingon can gain status, then he will accept death before dishonor if he can find a way to make someone else die instead and still gain the same end. However, he finds no shame in that. So there's some of the stuff you saw in TNG in there, but not exactly. I think TNG was like a huge face turn for Klingons. Know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, like that whole thing. Like, I'm just like I hear what I was hearing what you're saying there, and I'm going like, boy, it sounds like a lot like a loathing of self-immolation, and I'm just like the Klingons. I could just picture like Worf saying like, I swear by my life and my love of it that I will never live my life for the sake of another man, nor ask another man to live for mine. Which is the oath in Atlas Shrugged.
See, and reading, yeah, you're right. And reading some of this, Greg, you're right. It's more like Mirror Universe. Look at this last paragraph. Because every Klingon expects every other Klingon to seek personal advantage at all times, Klingon relationships are based on degrees of mutual distrust. So remember the whole thing where, hey, I'm going to get promoted by assassinating my superior.
Yeah.
You're right there. Klingon paranoia. Klingon government will investigate any development in scientific knowledge that might give one group any political or military advantage over others. That's interesting. So yeah, they're putting this stuff out there, and it's like, hey guys, this is the lore. And this is, only a couple of movies in. It said Star Trek 4. So I think this was probably written I was wrong earlier. I think it was written after 3. I think the first edition was written during the production of 3, because there really weren't any Klingons in 2, right? It was Khan and whatever else.
Yeah, no, and they were just basically like a cameo in the first movie,
Mm-hmm.
where the couple Klingon ships get eaten by V'ger.
Yep. Got their rank insignia here.
Yeah, they weren't really part of the movie at all until 3, or the movie franchise until 3, when you bring in Krug, and his kind of paranoia and like his perception of like, hey, this isn't like a tool to make new worlds with beautiful new worlds and everything. This is a super weapon. This is the atom bomb times a gazillion here, because we can blow up a whole planet or destroy a whole planet, which is kind of funny, because then you get all the way into like the JJ shit and be like, or no, not even the JJ shit, but like you get into Star Trek Generations, right? And Dr. Soren has this torpedo, this weapon that has trilithium, right? And trilithium, that his little torpedo is capable of causing a supernova, right? And remember, like, so in the movie, in the Star Trek movies, 2, 3, and 4 are basically a continuous plot line. There's like a direct this and then that and then that. They're very connected. They take place like almost consecutively, even in the in time, in Star Trek time.
Mm-hmm.
And the big thing was like, and it was kind of introduced in 3. It was like, hey, this became a galactic incident, and it was expanded upon in 4. Like this whole Genesis torpedo thing kind of became an intergalactic like PR nightmare, because you got everybody else that like they saw the damn thing in action now, so we can't deny its existence, and it has amazing destructive power. So now it's created this like diplomatic difficulties, because like basically you just test detonated the mega weapon, right? Where's the follow-up from Generations that like Soren developed trilithium torpedoes that can supernova stars?
Yeah.
Like, didn't really think that one out very well.
You're right. They just were thinking of plot in the moment.
Yeah, well, they needed something like, because if the plot is like we got to stop this weirdo from like jumping back in the space ribbon thing, it'd be like, well, what? So what if he jumps back in the space ribbon? Oh, yeah, I guess that's a bad. That doesn't work. So we need to be like, well, in order to do it, he's got to like kill a whole bunch of people, like entire like star systems got to be like killed off in order for him to get back in the ribbon. Like, oh, well, then Enterprise definitely has to get involved then. Then we'll have this side plot with the with the boob window twins commandeering that. Generations just really is not that good of a movie.
Yeah. Not this publication, but another one I've shown Daniel James a bunch of these, because he sees ship designs and schematics as porn. So look at all this shit. And some of these they have models of. Remember, like in Starlog, they'd have an ad sometimes on the back of the magazine that would have all these little. Yeah, some of these were in here, like the D10. The one you
classic
saw,
like models where you got to get out the little super glue and like the get the little dish of water to soak the decals in, and meticulous.
This one, D7, is the one you saw on television a lot. This D18 is made up. K23 made up. D10 made up. All these are made up. I remember seeing the model of this. This one I don't remember seeing. Here go the birds of prey, right? And this is in line with TNG. There were 2 different sizes. They look the same, but one is just scaled up more. The one that they had in Star Trek 4 was the smaller one, because what was the crew complement? Remember the line from 3, like 12?
Oh God, yeah.
I think it was like 12, including, officers or whatever, because they were trying to figure out, can we take these guys on? And then they beam them over. Like, I don't see how any idiot says, oh, the odd numbered movies are bad. The scene where they like transfer each other,
Get
they
out!
trade places.
Get out of there!
Get out of there! 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bam! It was just,
and then the Enterprise like kind of like breaking up in like the in the sky while they're looking up at it, and like it's like, oh my God, what did I do? Like, great moments in that movie. 3 is really good.
Yeah.
I don't care what anybody says. 3 is really good. Like, you can say what you want about 5, okay, but like 3 is really good, and one holds up fine.
5, oh my gosh,
5's tough.
I don't even
5's
know.
Tough.
I don't even know if 5 has like the recipe to make a good movie. Like, I just think it was just, the whole concept was bad. God.
Yeah, like 5 was very ill-advised, because like, so they decided to take the money that they made from 4 and just pocket it, I guess, because like 4 was the most successful movie they had financially. 4 was the top performing Star Trek movie. Because the Hollywood was like, well, it's because it appeals to a wider audience. It was more of a fish out of water. It was the least Star Trek movie, right? It wasn't just, it was Star Trek, but for normie people, not Trekkies.
Well, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to find right over here on my shelf the Star Trek Movie Memories book by Shatner himself, and I want to see what he says about it. Because, he's pretty honest in those 2 books, in memories and then movie memories. Like,
yeah, I mean,
he talks shit on Roddenberry, and I love those books.
Well, I mean, like, from his perspective, I can definitely feel like, hey, I got shafted with like a kind of a crappy script, ridiculous budget, and like just, and they wanted to take Star Trek and do like this more comedy stuff where, like, okay, so we're gonna have Scotty hitting his head on beams, and we're gonna have this
the boots,
the weird fetishized Uhura thing going on.
Oh yeah, like, with the those
with
big
the fan dance
leaves.
thing.
Yeah, the fan dance. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And this weird Vulcan brother that laughs. Like, it just, too many of the elements did not work, because I think they were trying to make another Star Trek movie that was normie Trek, and instead of just kind of like, let's go back to like 2 and 3 and kind of get back to the core thing with like, and we can do it with a regular budget, and we don't have to get too expensive here, but like, let's, like, we don't have to save the universe this time, but let's make a more contained Star Trek movie, but more classic Star Trek, not campy, not, like, we're gonna have a gag with jet boots, that kind of stuff. We're gonna have fart jokes with beans. Although I will say, like, I like the camping scene. Out of all the scenes in that movie, I like the camping scenes the most.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to fuck up. Like, you'd have to try to fuck up a scene between the big 3, right?
Yeah, Kirk, Spock, McCoy, kind of at their best.
Mm-hmm.
That dynamic really it just works.
He didn't punch a horse. He gave him the Klingon neck pinch.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Back to the
and
book
then like
here.
this Planet of Peace that was just like, I mean, I guess if you say like, well, that's the UN, that's kind of funny.
Yeah, that was. Well, yeah, because there's that line where
digging holes on this desert. Like what is he doing? Like, this is Star Trek. Like, water's now a scarce resource. Like, I don't get it.
Yeah, and even Kirk's line, he's like derisively saying, "Oh, like the intergalactic planet of peace," like it was all a joke and a sham.
Yeah, this is like the Human Rights Council in the fucking UN. Like, whatever.
Creating characters. I've never played or set up characters in this system at all, but I can tell you with the D6 system from West End Games, one of the funnest parts is like creating your character. So, and again, this is consistent with that TNG Year One book I have right over here on the shelf. The way the skills and all that shit work. So they go into this skill. So this is more about the game stuff itself than it is the lore. Yeah. Oh, equipment. Rations, medical equipment. Oh, the Ductog. Let's see what they call it here. See, it probably has a different name. If a character is using this weapon, open. Yeah, so it's called the Zalsta. It wasn't called the Ductog yet. So there you go.
I don't know. Which one do you prefer?
Ductog. And by the way, there's a knife
like
company
the Klingon
that
cadence where it's like ka.
Yeah. There's a knife company that sells replicas. They're not like, official, but they look pretty much the same. I need to get one. Hang it up back here when we're doing Star Trek streams or whatever. Yeah, and they got all these
a whole bunch of them off of a building in front of ICE protesters.
Yeah. Designer's notes, so they go into that. There's the ambassador. There's Cruz.
Yeah. God, he was good.
And
Christopher Lloyd, that character is just great.
Yep. I just love how like campy that shit was when like the guy fucks something up, so he just pulls his disruptor out and just like shoots him.
Yeah, well, that became like the meme thing for like villains to be like, that's how a bad guy proves his like bad guy like bona fides is like, well, you're a bad guy if like you kill your own guy because he's incompetent, because it's like, well, Vader did it, right?
And I love when he's like barking orders out and he's about to leave the bridge, and then he points to that pet and he's like, and feed him, and then. Yeah. And that junior like, officer, played by John LaRoquette, by the way, of Night Court fame, he kind of like looks down at the animal like, oh, fuck. Like, So here's what's funny. When we went to see that movie in the theater, it was me, my mother, my best friend, his mother, and then another neighbor boy, right? So the chicks, our mothers, whenever that thing died in one of the attacks, they're like cheering. They hated that thing so much. So
I cheered when the Ewok died in Return of the Jedi. So
you mean the one where it's shot. Like a sad scene, and yeah,
where the other guy comes to like, and they're like, and I'm like,
yeah. But don't forget, the Ewoks are horrible, and Return of the Jedi's not real Star Wars, right? That's what the Banjo Boys tell us. I like them Kenner Towies. That's what I like, guys. I'm into the Kenner Towies. Man, I cannot wait for everyone to see that video tomorrow that I've seen a few times now. And I'll give Gabriel Knight most of the credit, but he asks, what do I fill in these gaps with? And I'm like, dude, just think about Echo Base. I go, you need to do this here, that there, and that there. And he's like, holy shit. I woke up, and he had already made that shit this morning. And I'm like, oh, this is even better than I envisioned it. So it'll be good. Nice. It's a country song. Not really country. It's more like a hillbilly, like jig type of song. So
even worse.
Yeah.
I mean, it fits the theme, I guess. So, yeah.
So I ever since my album came out, I had a dream. And it was one of those waking dreams where you think it's like a vivid dream. Is that what they call it? Sure. A vivid dream? Whatever it's called. And I was like sitting right here watching, like, okay, what are they saying? And Chef was on there. I think they stream Thursday nights, kind of like the spacing, but earlier on in the night because they got to go to bed like at 9:00, right? And he's like, we saw it. You know how he's always in like the stereo form. We saw it and we're going to sue. And he has a serious look on his face. I'm like, go fucking head. You can't sue for anything because we don't call you by name and we're telling the truth in every single lyric of those songs that I made. So whatever. Lucid Dream. Thank you very much, Blake.
Yeah, and the standard would be like, well, one could argue that in our sphere you are a public figure.
Yeah.
So the standard has to be absolute malice.
But it was so real when he said that in the dream. Like, and it was so believable because he's been getting butthurt a lot as of late. We're gonna sue.
Well,
we saw
well,
it
because they haven't been used to like, like we're kind of the only ones that really are pushing back hard and consistently.
Yep. So last night, wait,
okay.
what is tonight? Sunday night. Duh.
Mm-hmm.
So last night, or was it the night before last? I think it was the night before last. Melvin was streaming, right? Yeah, it was the night before last because he does his Valley streams on Fridays now. And he really broke down Griff Trooper, Shield Trooper big time. And I joined early on. I had to log off because I had to get some other stuff done. But I'm like, this is like a self back patting, but I'm like, I really love how we pioneered going after our ciders, right? As far back as like 2021, probably late 2020. And people don't know the lore there of how many people turned against us on the Luke Skywalker thing. You know, the people like Lodonis and people like that used to show up in the whatever it was, Raising Geek Jedi, High Ground chat. They like disappeared as soon as we're the assholes saying this Luke Skywalker thing is a complete sham. Like all these people fucking disappeared. It was crazy. I'm surprised we even had the audience we did after that. But some people knew it was the truth, and it's the same thing with the stuff we talked about tonight. Picard season 3, same thing as Luke Skywalker. And then you had WDW Con the other night talking about Han, Luke, and Leia. What if they appear in Mando movie? And then no one could answer the question and say no, they wouldn't like it or they would accept it. It's just sad state of affairs. They make a good couple. They would make a good couple. Over here on the Rumble side, Justin says, off topic, shit take of the week, Abeloth could be a Night Sister herself. Yeah, these people don't even understand the fucking lore, man. They don't know any of that shit. Oh, we do have something else though. I think I have something else. Hang on a minute. Yes, I do. Let me open this. Let me go like this. Nope, that wasn't it. Hang on a minute. Freaking Windows 11. All right, here we go. Oh my gosh, I've never heard that song inside my headset before. I just thought we were having an earthquake. What kind of audio device are you using?
Arctic 7 gaming.
I mean, it just like rattled my head off. I bet you if I played that in my vehicle, it would be really loud. But this is one of the all-time greatest scenes in Star Trek ever. Here we go. So that's expanded bootyverse of the night. I mean, just
yoga scene.
Mm-hmm. I mean, just look at that. Amazing. And then
both actresses heavily complain about that to this day.
Well, it's brilliant because look over here. I don't know if you can see my cursor. Now you can. Like you get the reflection here too. You get the front shot here, and then this excellence right here. It's just, what do you mean they complain about it?
How like it was they many interviews complained how it was like they were meaned as characters because they're women and reduced to these like, you know, doing yoga and gossip sessions. Like, their characters weren't being taken seriously.
So it was true to life.
Yeah, basically.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, like, I will definitely take these scenes over Worf in his leotard doing his stupid gay Klingon karate.
Yeah.
That shit was awful.
Yep. No, it's a wonderful scene, and I think it's important to Star Trek. So I'm glad to have shown it to you guys. But yeah, guys, that's about it. We're gonna wrap it up here, and still trying to figure out, you know, what do I do on Thursday nights? And I don't think it's possible to stream every Thursday night, although I'd like to. I think we'll get there at some point, but Sundays have been pretty consistent now. So it's just, I really want to cover this Star Trek stuff, but it's like we can't do Star Trek every week because we want to do the politics too, right? We want to do the Toxic Endeavor too. So could it be a deal where we set a time limit and it's like, hey, we do an hour and 15 on this and an hour and 15 on that or something like that, right? Because we've been going now a lot longer than I planned to at almost 3:30. So we'll talk about it. But what's coming up next, again, make sure you tune in to Bane and the Shills for that Echo Base Network music video and for everything else he's going to talk about. So be there for that. But I highly doubt I'll be streaming Thursday. You'll definitely see us here 7 days from now, though. Just don't know what it is yet. But yeah, thanks for hopping on, Greg, as always. Appreciate it.
Pleasure.
All right, guys. We'll see you next Sunday night, and I hope you have a really great week. First week of February. Here we go.